Hey, mic check. Mic, chickity, 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 check. 1, 2, 1, 3. It is your boy, Steel Rain, is in the house. Nah, but honestly, let's get a real intro going. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 44 of Living Splitscreen, your home of some of the most fantastic, enthusiastic, authentic, organic, energetic podcasting, or just video game content, honestly, just content overall that you can ever find on a Saturday morning in the YouTube streets, Facebook streets, Twitter streets, whatever street that you stroll on, that's where we're at. First off, let's start off, we gotta get the payments out of the way. First off, shout out to the Midweek Mix-Up Collective for continually supporting us and allowing us to be us. We've had some interesting conversations in our personal DMs, and I think we're going to definitely talk about some of those things, not necessarily based off of that, because there's a lot of other things that have people are kind of crazy right now, man. And I think a big portion of the show may end up being the Get Some Help segment, just because I don't think that a lot of people understand the scope of what's going on with the industry, but we'll talk about that. Needless to say also, I currently have some Lost Ark gameplay playing for you all in the background, so hopefully you all enjoy that. Lost Ark is an MMO that just came out on the Western market. It's been out in the East since, I believe, Korea, and in Russia since about 2019 on PC. But now it is now into the Western market. And so when it comes to the Western market, it's basically a brand new release. I know Mav was saying the other day that, the game's been out. I understand that, but when they bring games to the West, it's basically a brand new game. Because it's the same thing they did with Black Desert. Yes, it's essentially the same game, but at the same time, it's not. It's kind of some of the same things they do with Phantasy Star a little bit, except with MMOs, they seem to be most of the time a little bit more, not necessarily forgiving with the content, but they'll give you more of the content up front, especially when games have been out for a while. But needless to say, Lost Ark is a Diablo-esque type game. Again, I'm gonna have gameplay for it in the background. You guys decide if it's gonna be for you. It might not be for everybody, but I can tell for me as a Diablo 2 fan and just a fan of that isometric kind of style and everything, I'm enjoying it thoroughly. It has the over-the-top combat. It has the PvP in there. I had a random dude, just a quick story, had a random dude run up on me and challenge me to fight. I don't know why. I was minding my business. I was learning how to play the game. And
you attract those type of people, Steel. That's why.
I guess that's what it is. But I was at this portal, right? And he just ran up on me and challenged me. And I was like, all right, well, fuck it. I'll accept it. I'm not going to rat back down. And I whooped his ass. Needless to say, I beat the brakes off of this man. It was a good fight, though. It was interesting, but it's amazing how those experiences go, because that has me enticed to want to get to a point where I can play PvP more. So it gave me an early taste, and again, me as a PvP guy, I am enjoying the PvE side of this, though. Just playing through the story, getting used to the characters. I'm playing as the Berserker class, as you guys can see. Big ass sword, my style, great sword, big dude, hulky. I also made another character who's an assassin type. She's like a blade kind of character. She has some awesome movesets, so I want to get into her. This game has been getting my attention, though, man. Other than that, I haven't really been into much else. There's been a lot of personal stuff going on. I got some personal life changes that I'm making as far as like with work and other things with the fam and stuff like that. So, but with that being said, again, if you didn't know, this is the Living Splitscreen, episode 44. I am one of your hosts, Steel Rain, and I have to introduce one of the most uncanny gentlemen that I have ever met, at least. One of the most intelligent guys that I've met, one of the most authentic guys that I've ever met, and he definitely helps put this show on, for us on a week-to-week basis. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know who else I'd be able to do this with, to where we can just come off the cuff, because to be honest with y'all, I have not been just knee-deep in the community. I've been studying and everything else. So Pong's gonna be the one that's gonna kind of try to set the road straight. But that's probably what's gonna end up happening is that there's gonna be some passionate topics that we're gonna get into, like we always do here. We try to stray away from what everybody else is kind of talking about on all your different shows, whatever the case. Saturday is kind of like a break, and just for us to kind of get more of our personal opinions out there, really, because that's what podcasting should be about anyway. Yes, the news, yes, what's going on in the industry, but sometimes we're going to throw the personal stuff in there, and then other times, most other times, if not all the time, we're going to give you that honest 100% opinion and give it to you in a live, raw, and uncut fashion, because I feel like there's no other better way to do it. And there's nothing but respect and love that can come out of that. So with all that being said, let's pass it off to my guy, the X-Man himself, Pong. So what's going on, my guy?
Wow. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Living Splitscreen, your favorite Saturday place to come for all the big energy, the big opinions, and the big personalities. That's right. My brother Steel and I are ready to rock and roll again. And this week, Steel, has been eye-opening. It has been intriguing. It has been disappointing. It has been exciting. It has been everything and more, because, man, this community is something else, Steel. And I always start off our show now with what I learned from the community this week. And this is going to give you a little insight into some of the stuff we're going to be talking about. And this isn't, as some people have tried to suggest when we do these shows, and this is my 7th show this week already. But look, this isn't about invalidating feelings, because I know a lot of people are wrapped up in their feelings this week. This isn't about trying to tell you that you're wrong, because you're allowed to have your opinions on all of these subjects as well. But realize when you come to a podcast like this, and all the ones I'm basically on, and we're talking about the future, we're talking about the crystal ball, the speculation town, and we're giving you a tour of what the potential and possibilities are. That's exactly what it is. We're not coming at you like we're speaking the gospel truth here. Nobody knows except for the inner circles of these higher ups in these companies, right?
Hey, I'll tell
Nobody knows.
I'll tell you what, Nobody knows, but God damn it, Pong, for whatever reason, me and you have our hands on the pulse of what the game industry has gone into. Everything that has been stated up to this point, we have said right on this show. If y'all want to go back episodes and find out, go back episodes, do your research. But I'm telling you, I mean, no, we're not the only place. No. But as far as taking that RTS view and pulling ourselves out of the world and saying, hey, this is probably the move that we're kind of looking into. This is kind of the, what the community needs to start looking at. We've been right on the money. So my fault, Pong, but I decided I'd throw a little bit of credibility out there, man. Because I mean, honestly.
No, that's what Steele and I started this podcast for, was to do exactly that, to get away from the bubbles, to talk about all things in this industry. So this week, I understand why, right? I get it. I really do. But for this week, man, the circus has been in town. And it's not one-sided this week, right?
No,
it's not one-sided this week. It is both sides have their own clown shows out here. And again, it's time to take a step back, people. Take a step back and realize that these companies don't care about you and your console war nonsense. Steele and I have been trying to talk about this. Look, the jokes are cool, right? When they're actual jokes, you guys are having a good time.
When you're fucking
going
funny,
back and forth. Yeah, when you're funny, right? Not everybody's a comedian, right? Not everybody's meant to do that stuff, but there are times where the jokes are funny. I listen to plenty of shows that have that side, right? That have that edge. But when you get serious about this stuff, look, here, This is what I learned this week in this community, Steel. This is, man, we had a lot of substitute teachers show up this week to try to teach me stuff this week, man.
Substitutes. Oh,
substitute teachers. Yes.
You said
subs. Fresh out of console war school, trying to teach me about really what's happening here. Right. Okay. So we know what kind of knowledge we're getting here. Right. So, I was taught this week that Microsoft spending $70 billion and keeping a money-making machine like Call of Duty multi-plat is the biggest L in the history of video games. That is the biggest L.
Nice.
I was taught this week that because of this decision, Phil Spencer should probably be fired. I was taught this week that at the end of the day,
interesting,
the entitlement of a lot of people, a lot of gamers, the entitlement of these gamers means that everything that has been done by Xbox from 2017, 2018 and on, going from 5 studios to over 30 studios is not good enough, Steel. It's just not good enough. What else you done for me? I also learned that if these moves that Xbox is making doesn't mean, or let's put it this way. If the moves that Xbox is making means that Sony still gets to thrive and be healthy in this industry, then those moves are wrong. We want scorched earth, Steel. We want the death of Sony because of what they did to certain people personally by taking away exclusivity and buying timed exclusives. That we must have blood in the street, Steel, because this console war is real, sir. And we got to have a nuclear war at the end of the day, and Phil should be out for blood.
Okay, man. Interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting test. What you learned from the community, huh?
Man, yeah. And I've seen it. Look, this is from being in podcasts personally and watching the chat. This is from being just in the chat on some shows like the Xbox 2 even, and seeing comments in there. This is from obviously Twitter and the things being put out there. Again, in the public space, people really showing their true colors, man. People really showing their true colors. And it's like I said, that's the sad part and the disappointing part to me this week, Steel, is that, we always talk about the minority that's out there that are fighting this imaginary war that Jim Ryan probably hates, that Phil Spencer has talked about openly hating, in interviews, and that I'm sure Bowser wants no part of on the Nintendo side of things. And, but you know what? This week, a lot more people joined the ranks that some people that I didn't even think would join the ranks. And I've seen a lot of that. And again, I understand there's a lot of emotions to this stuff. You're a fan of something. We see it in sports. We see it everywhere, right? I'm not trying to say that video games are above it, but man, oh man, people, it's time to take a deep breath. It's time to really look at what's going on here. If you are honestly going to say that everything that Phil and his team has done for Xbox, turning it around since 2017, 2018, saving a sinking ship, and I don't care about your feelings on that. That's a fact that Xbox could no longer be here at this point if it wasn't for Phil and his team making some very, very, very hard decisions, and Phil personally selling a certain vision to upper management at Microsoft. We would not even be here to talk about the series consoles today. And that is a fact. You guys can argue about that all day long about how true that is. It's very true. So if all of what they've done, if they're going from 5 studios to over 30 studios to having, depending on how you want to count it, 40 exclusives currently in the works right now for us, with more to come. If all of that is erased because Call of Duty, maybe Diablo, maybe Overwatch 2, suddenly is going to stay multi-plat because a $70 billion deal might be a little bit bigger, might be a little bit more long-term than what we're used to. If all of that is erased, I cannot help you. You need to take a step back and really think about why you're here in this industry. This is a hobby. This is entertainment. If you're out for blood, if you're out to say that, hey, we were here as fans for Xbox through the entire Xbox One generation and we got beat up, then understand that you have become emotionally damaged, that you have some PTSD.
Emotionally damaged.
Yeah, I don't say that. I don't say that in a negative light either, right? I'm telling you, though, that you have allowed a hobby that is based on entertainment to somehow affect you so much that you want revenge on a company that could care less about you. And the weapon for that is another company who does not care about you, who is here to make money at the end of the day, but has somebody in charge like Phil, who actually is a gamer and does actually care about us, not individually per se, but doesn't care about us as gamers and is trying to do the best things for us.
Right.
You're calling for Phil's head or anybody else at Microsoft, that the leadership team at Microsoft has suddenly lost it at Xbox, suddenly doesn't understand it, doesn't get it. No. It's not they who don't get it. It's the person in the mirror who doesn't get it. And for the clown show on the other side,
oh, stop.
Who is celebrating and thinks that this shows the weakness of Xbox, that they go ahead and allow Call of Duty to continue to be where it always has been. You fools, again, you wake up every day with that clown makeup on. You don't even have to put it on. You go to bed with it. You fools who think that this somehow shows that Xbox continuously takes L's and nothing has changed. You're in for a big surprise, people, when it's all said and done, because Xbox and Microsoft aren't just going for the little piece of the pie that you all are used to over there. They've been telling you they're going for the whole pie. But guess what? They're going to let Sony, Nintendo sit at that same table and enjoy the fruits. But guess who's going to be controlling that entire kingdom when it's all said and done? When everybody, and this is going to be a shock, it's going to be a shock for gamers and fans out there. Everybody is going to be a third-party publisher when this is all said and done. 10, 15, 20 years down the road, when the tech catches up, everybody is going to be a third-party publisher. They're going to be publishing to the cloud, Steel. They're going to be publishing to the cloud so that everybody has access to all of their content. And who's going to control? What cloud do you think that is? Or what cloud do you think that they're positioning themselves for that role? That's right, Azure. And who owns Azure? Microsoft. That kingdom is going to be there underneath the Azure servers of Microsoft. And all these little towns, Sony, the town of Sony, the town of Nintendo, they're all going to be inside that kingdom.
Yeah,
that's how this is going to work.
And I definitely agree with a lot of those points. Definitely jump into it. I'll give some more of my kind of opinions on that too. I do want to address one thing though in the chat, and because we keep things open, and I love when people, new people come in, they have opinions and everything. That's what we're supposed to do. So shout out to P Firebird 77. Shout out, what's going on, man? He was saying, hey, it's more fun as a console war. Otherwise, I wouldn't be listening to all you guys talking about it. And look, man. He also said, Pong, you convinced me that COD is not that big of a deal, so you're doing your job well. Hey, man, but yeah, that is part of the picture. But the reason that I kind of wanted to bring that up, because they also said earlier, like I said on other casts, people treat it like a sporting event. You just want other teams' fans to suck it. It's not life and death. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, 100%. The biggest thing about that though is that I do have to disagree in the fact that no, it doesn't have to be a console war. You don't have to be on this thing or on these tangents that because I like PlayStation, because you like Xbox, we have to butt heads with each other. That doesn't have to happen. When I talk to people about games, I come from it as an aspect of a gamer. That's it. And then because a lot of the time when you have these conversations with people out in the real world, you know what people say to me? I just had a conversation with one of my new coworkers the other day because he asked me, what do you do what else do you do for fun? Or what are your hobbies? And I was like, I'm a gamer, man. I mean, that's what I get into. Knowing that a lot of the times what I've run into as a gamer myself, that when people say that they are a gamer, 9 times out of 10 they're a casual. And what I mean by that is that they don't take gaming that seriously. Like they'll say that. I'm not going to say that because a lot of times there's people who play World of Warcraft, who play other MMOs, or play Call of Duty, play Madden, or play sports games, whatever the case might be. It's not to the level that a lot of people try to make it seem, right? And 100%, it is like Coke, Pepsi, Yankees, Red Sox, BK versus MCD, 100%. That's exactly what I've been saying. It's like Lamborghini and Ferrari. I like Lamborghini, Pong likes Ferrari. We're not going to go argue about back and forth about which one's better. At the end of the day, they're foreign sports cars, exotic sports cars,
and they're both fast. And they're both awesome, and they're both fast as shit. And they both look good. I'm not going to be given a Ferrari and be like, damn, I wanted a Lamborghini. Like, how grateful can you be? Like, no, I wouldn't do that. But to me, that doesn't make sense. To other people, yeah, I mean, they're going to complain about that and they're going to say things like that. Before we get into the upcoming games of the week, because that's how we usually like to start the show. But Paul said he had some fire for it, so I definitely want to speak on that because I have been seeing some of the same things, and I just want to come from it the angle that. For people to want to come for Phil's head now or say that what Xbox is doing or what Microsoft is doing is either hurting the industry, killing the console space, or whatever the case may be, just for them personally, it just doesn't make sense. Like, again, like how many times do we have to talk about these similar things or talk about the vision or try to see it from a different aspect for people to really get it? The fact that Call of Duty is going to be a multi-platform game, I think is a more of an amazing thing than anything else. Why? Because it's not about Call of Duty. And like people have been saying in the chat, like Pong has said, like I have said here, I feel like me and Pong definitely said we're one of the few that said that up front when we talked about this whole thing with Activision and Blizzard when it first came out. This isn't about Call of Duty. And people have to stop thinking about that. Like, just because Call of Duty is multiplat doesn't mean that everything else is not. People are going to give you a reason to invest in their console space. Exclusives still matter at the end of the day. IP matters at the end of the day. Brand matters at the end of the day. And no matter what you tell me, Xbox still does not have enough brand loyalty for everybody to be causing all this doom and gloom. It really doesn't. And it does not hurt Xbox to have some games, even if they wanted to do all games, go multiplat. It doesn't. I understand that we want competition. You want PlayStation to be like, where we want them to kill Xbox. Oh, and then now we want Xbox to kill PlayStation. That's not the whole point of this, man. Like, you have to enjoy what you enjoy in your ecosystem. That's all that matters. Everything else is just nonsensical bullshit, to me, at least. I don't argue about what console's better. I can care less, because the only reason I say that is because I know what I stand for as a gamer. You're not going to tell me what I'm going to enjoy more. I know. I've been gaming for a while. I know why I don't have a PlayStation yet. I know why I haven't been playing the Switch for Lord knows how long until here recently. I know. You don't have to tell me. In a game, for example, like Crossfire X, just because it's in Game Pass, I don't have to play it. I actually have no interest. But it was the same thing with Rainbow Six Extraction. I have those options. And I feel like that's the bigger picture to what we should be speaking to, because we're moving into an area, into a space where you have options. And that's what people are scared of. I feel like that's why people are kind of upset about this whole thing, about this whole multiplat thing. Although people want gamers to play with gamers, right? It's more so
just that. It's just that. It doesn't make sense to me that you want to people want a competition. I want a competition. And then you have other people that are prominent people in the community, because that's the main thing. You have people who have all this traction, but again, there's a reason to get the traction, because people like drama. That's why people watch the TV shows that they do. That's why people go outside and go to the club the way that they do. Humans like drama for whatever reason. And that's cool. That's cute. If that's what you're into, fine. But in gaming, I just feel like it comes to a certain point where it just becomes corny, or it just becomes like, because a lot of the times you're hearing people that don't even have their own opinion formed about anything. They're listening to whatever shows that they're listening to and just spewing out stuff. They're just saying stuff. Oh, yeah, it's going to kill gaming. Oh, Xbox. Oh, they're going to become a... So? It's not up to me or you to say, oh, well, this is what they should be doing with their money. They're $1 trillion company. Sony, the same thing. They're $1 billion company. You think if they listen... I'm glad a lot of these guys don't listen to us on a lot of aspects. Because if they did, we would have been killed console gaming. We would have killed gaming a long time ago, with all the standards that everybody else has set.
If they were listening to us, Microsoft would be worth $5 trillion right now. Just saying.
If they were listening to us specifically, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's the definition of it. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's how I look at the console war situation. People console war with each other over and over and over again and expect for something else to come out of it. And all that comes out of it is drama. I don't understand how y'all have the time for it. I just don't get that. Sure. I mean, if you got all the time in the world, hey man, you do you. I'd rather be playing games. I got so many games that I could be playing right now that I can invest hundreds of hours into that I don't have time to invest hundreds of hours into, that grab my attention rather than me arguing on Twitter, which is why I try to use it as more of a uplifting platform, I try to use it as I can't even think of a good way to put it, but I try to use it kind of like a podium, right? Where you kind of put good info, you put your information out there, you put your opinions out there, you speak your truth, and then you kind of just pull away from it. You know what I mean? I don't live in that. Can't live in that space because people are toxic and people enjoy that. And again, I'm not here to tell you what you need to enjoy, what you don't need to enjoy. That's completely up to you. But it's just, you can't be, I just don't get I don't get why people are upset about it now when Sony's closer to doing the same thing than I believe that Microsoft is. If anybody's going to stay in the console space longer, it's going to be Microsoft. Why? Because they can afford to. Sony can't. I don't care how you try to spin that for me. I don't care how you try to flip it and reverse it. Shout out to Missy Elliott. You know what I'm saying? It's not. You have to look at reality. The reason that people are upset is because Microsoft's $1 trillion company and they got money to throw around. They can spend $70 billion on a deal, their biggest acquisition or biggest deal in Microsoft's history in the gaming field, because they take gaming seriously. And if we're going to fail to realize that Microsoft taking gaming seriously isn't a bad thing, especially as far on the side of, and everybody has their own perspectives, that from the aspect that, and I almost lost where I wanted to go with that. I really almost did. I'm all over the place. Yeah,
you're all over the place, but that's okay because everybody else is all over the place, right?
They are.
That's all. The whole thing is Steel 2. The whole thing is Steel 2, right? Like, I understand, like, if you're confused about why this is happening, or you say, I don't get what Xbox is doing, right? That's fine, right? That's fine. But when you come to a podcast to listen to people trying to give you reasons why this is happening, again, none of us work for Microsoft. None of us work for Sony. None of us work for Nintendo, right? We just are fans passionate about this industry. But when we try to give you some ideas as from our perspective as to what's going on, to trash those ideas or to say you're wrong or you're capping for one system or the other because you're trying to explain kind of what the future may hold for all of us, well, why are you showing up then, right? Then go do your own research and form your own opinions about it. If you think this is the end of Xbox, or if you think this is the wrong move because they're going to become a third-party publisher, and you're listening to shows that are trying to tell you, hey, that's kind of the future for everybody at this point when technology catches up, and you're sitting in that chat saying, no, this is still wrong. This is still wrong. Why are we playing nice with Sony at this point? Look, I can't help you with those emotions, because that's all that is an emotional response tied to a plastic box.
I think it's deeper than that, though, Pong, because
the
reason I think it's deeper than that is because of how we've been trained as gamers.
That's for decades.
We've been trained that way. So it's like, it's hard for me to say, oh, it's just because you emotionally feel that way, because we've literally been trained that way. We've been trained that, oh, it has to be competition. Oh, there is exclusives. Oh, again, the whole idea for Sony is, oh, exclusives make your console better. That's the whole identity.
Right, but exclusives aren't going away, Steel. That's my point, right?
Exactly. But that's what I want to say. That's what I want to jump into with it.
Yeah. Because that's my point, though. When people come out and say that, it's because of the wording, and the wording only was Call of Duty and some of Activision's Blizzard's most popular titles, and suddenly that means that everything is going multi-plat. The way that people respond, right? That's how it feels to me when people respond with what they've been responding, that they're acting as if all of a sudden exclusivity is going away, that Xbox is putting Halo on PlayStation next week.
No, that's not happening.
But that's the way it feels, because all of a sudden everybody suddenly ignores the facts again, that depending on how you count, we know of between 30 and 40 at least titles that are exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem coming, that are already in the works, right? On top of everything else. But people suddenly forget all that just because they say Call of Duty and some of Activision Blizzard's most popular titles will continue to remain on other platforms. And oh, by the way, we're also going to try to get some of this stuff over to Nintendo as well. Right?
And Firebird, like, I get what you're saying. It's a very loud, smallest of the small minority on Twitter and YouTube. Honestly, dude, it's not just that. Again, I understand what you're saying. I understand the aspect you're coming from. And yes, in real life, when you ask people these questions, again, it's hard.
We don't even know Activision Blizzard is being acquired, right? If you ask the average gamer.
Exactly. Out of all the people in the world, only 500 million of us are going to consider ourselves as actual gamers. The other 2.5 don't necessarily consider themselves as gamers, quote unquote. So it's hard with everybody that we have existing in the world, that you're going to run into 500 million people or 10 people on a day-to-day basis, unless you're just that much of an extrovert, that you're going to run into these people. That's not going to happen. That's been the case. But if you look at Reddit, if you look at Twitter, if you look at YouTube, if you look at Facebook gaming, people have a lot of opinions on Facebook. You want to see some space that's a little bit more, that's way more toxic than Twitter is, and has a lot more going on. Facebook is really popping for gaming right now, which is I'm kind of considering to start streaming that way too, just to get a little bit more traction. But it's just the way that we're going. People are going to have their opinions, like you said, Pong. People are going to feel the way that you want to feel, and people are going to be emotional about it, because humans are emotional creatures. But neither here or there. Ray always says some people think that not having exclusives makes the console lose its identity, which is far from that. There's so many other things Xbox has as a platform. Exactly. Again, Ray, you see somewhat of the vision, right? You see exactly what we're trying to go into. Lord Roughness says, seriously, I can't cap for Call of Duty. I've not played at least 4 or 5 of their last titles. Exactly. Which is, again, why we will always say that the play is not about Call of Duty. Microsoft didn't look at Activision Blizzard and was like, yeah, that's Call of Duty. That's all we want. No. They looked at the IP. You saw the energy from Phil when he talked about the IP. He didn't get excited for Call of Duty. No, he got excited what comes with that. The space, the presence on the PC market, a chance to get a better system in place with Blizzard using their kind of app and everything to make purchases and everything. There's potential there. The same thing with the whole ZeniMax deal. Oh, if they put Orion to use and how that's going to have an impact on the cloud. I'm pretty sure they're still working on that. And yeah, again, Firebird, like, yeah, people want to talk trash, and that's great. And just like you said earlier too, it's like politics. People want to go back and forth and, you know, have their opinions. But the biggest problem is in gaming, people take it to the next level to where, yes, it happens in other topics too, but in gaming, for whatever reason, because people are behind a keyboard, people automatically jump to, oh, well, you're a bitch. Like, what? Weren't we just talking about fucking our opinions? And then now all of a sudden it becomes something personal. You know what I'm saying? Nah, you can call me a bitch. I don't give a fuck. But it gets to that point to where now we have to personally attack each other. Now we have to down each other just because of how you feel about something versus how I feel about something.
Well, and it goes even beyond that, Steel, because if you're talking trash to another person who's talking trash, that's one thing. But people bring that trash to people who aren't even talking trash. See, somebody can make a positive post about Xbox, and suddenly you got people talking trash to that person, even though they're not even a part of the console war. They're just excited about whatever they're playing, right? That's the problem with this community, is that it goes beyond the bounds of people who just know each other or just the super fans who understand that each other are super fans and they're going back and forth tit for tat, right? Mm-hmm. They bring that to other members within the community that have no piece in no part of the battle whatsoever. And they bring that in those comments, right? And they bring that to that person who wants no part of the console war BS. And that's the problem, is that trash talk gets outside of the battlefield, right? If you want to call it that, right? It goes outside of that and involves other people. And then it starts growing even further. Right. It gets to devs. It gets to upper management. It gets to community managers. Yeah. It gets to all of those people, right? That want no part of this. And that's the problem, is people don't contain themselves. They don't contain themselves. Like I said, if it's just jokes amongst people who know each other to be those types, cool. Go do your fun, right? But again, it goes outside of that and it spreads. And that's the problem where we really wind up with. And that's why Steel and I speak on this all the time. Like, Steel and I can look at it and I can say, yeah, here's the clowns, right? I can go ahead and look at that. But when innocent people get wrapped up in that battle, that's not okay to me. And that's what happens.
And that's the thing. Yeah. And again, Firebird, I mean, you're making some great notes here, Firebird, for sure. Kind of helping us structure our conversation here. Yeah, I mean, it is the same thing in other hobbies. I mean, people do the exact same thing. Attack each other, downplay each other, but with gaming, because it is more of a social platform, when these things happen and the devs get attacked and everything else, and people, individuality gets attacked and everything, it becomes a different conversation. And for me, and at least hopefully I definitely speak for me and Pong, for me, that's why I speak of what we would want to speak up about, or why we do speak up about it, is because at least on our platform, we're gonna let people know how we feel. That's not how we operate, that's not how we move, and those things have to be addressed. Because, kind of just bring it back in, do I think it's all gonna be multi-plat? Let's add some structure to this conversation. I got lost in thought earlier. Sorry, guys. It's been a long week. But that's kind of the whole basis of this whole conversation. Is everything going to be multi-plat? Is Xbox just going to just go away, become this publisher, and just kill gaming because they just want everything to be on a service? No, they're not. And for anybody to feel like just because of Call of Duty or Destiny, whatever the case might be, being multi-plat is going to hurt gaming in any way, shape, or form, it's not. You want funding for your single-player experiences? Guess where it's going to come from? You want your key exclusives that spend over $100 million to make? That money has to come from somewhere. And there's been multiple people that have come out to this point and said that gaming in its current aspect is not sustainable. I know people I'm going to throw some smoke out here. People are throwing, shout out to Horizon Zero Dawn, 20 million copies. Hey! 5 years later? 4 years later? Really? Is that what we're doing? That's what we're celebrating? Y'all want to celebrate people selling 20, 30 million copies 4 to 5 years later when you should be expecting another game to be coming out within that development cycle within like a year or two, whatever the case may be, or for them to get more attention up front so that they know what they need to work on. Because if the conversation would have been, hey, okay, give you a rumor. If the rumor is that, they wanted to add a flight mechanic in the game, but it was going to have to be, because it was multi-plat, they had to limit it to some things. Maybe if they had some more money up front, they would have invested directly into the PS5 and said, you know what? We do believe in generations. Boom. But that's not the case. They didn't get enough of the funding that they needed. Sony is heavily dependent on selling their hardware and their games. So it takes time to build that up so they can walk into that next space. And that current model does not work in our area. I'm sorry. Well, actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to apologize to nobody. You have 100 million consoles. You sell 10%. Sure, people are going to tell you, oh, that's great. Oh, but that's what they want to sell. Oh, fantastic. What if you can hit 10 million in that first month? What if you can hit 10 million, even if it's just players that touch your game? I know people like to break it down. Oh, well, you don't know who actually beat the game. And 90% of gamers do not beat their games. I don't know if you want to believe that or not. Unfortunately, just because you like to beat your games doesn't mean other people like to beat their games. Sorry, it's not the era we live in. People have short attention spans. And yes, I'm the best example. Since I love to beat my games. I love to play a game, beat it in full, and then move on. The other thing is, though, too, I am also limited in time, and there are games that I like to touch on. For example, Lost Ark came out. I bought Sifu day one. I bought Sifu before it came out on PC. I still have not played Sifu. Why? I played Last Ark. I played Lost Ark.
Speaking of Steel, breaking news, real quick, Lost Ark has surpassed to over 1 million concurrent players to become only the 5th game to do so. Yep.
Shout out to Lost Ark.
That's pretty incredible. Shout out to Lost Ark.
Well,
Smilegate, Amazon. Yep.
Look, and we're seeing this is what the fear is. And publishers, Amazon, can come in and take some credit for this game being successful. And since they see this and they see how well the game's doing, guess what they're going to do? They're going to invest more. Our fear is that people are going to come into the space who don't understand it and turn it into something that we do not want. And that's what me and Pong try to speak to. And no, the game is not on console. It is on PC. Crazy, right? The game's on PC and it's getting more traction than it's ever gotten. Than it would have got on anything else. Because PC gamers like to play this game. Not only that, but it's not optimized for controllers the way it should be. So it's not ready for console. It needs more work. But obviously Amazon doesn't care about that. Smilegate doesn't care about that. The Asian market doesn't care about that. Because it's not just about consoles. That's why the PC space is bigger than consoles are. Versatility. But if you can reach that threshold, if you can reach those people, we can definitely make some changes. You know what I'm saying? And that's the bigger picture. That's the bigger picture that we want everybody to see, is that if you give people more accessibility, it's going to help grow gaming. Yes, COD and Destiny are cool, but those are only 2 games, 2 IP. Let's break it down even further. 2 IPs. How many IPs exist in the gaming space? Thousands? Like, what are we really talking about? It's not going to be the only game that they made. Whereas if Microsoft didn't buy Activision Blizzard, guess what the only game they're going to make is? Call of Duty. And it was going downhill. That's why the purchase was made. Because there was something that could be done to rectify some things. Because at the end of the day, yes, we are selfish gamers and we're going to have our personal opinions, but you also have to think about the humanity of it all. There's still humans behind all these deals and decisions and everything else. And I know that people forget that key point. The fact that Activision Blizzard was able to be eaten by Microsoft in their biggest deal in company history, and Whether they let people go or not, it's completely up to you. But as far as our knowledge goes, they have retained everybody except Bobby Kotick, who needs to get the fuck out. But they're retaining all the dev talent, something that Microsoft was very lackluster in not that long ago, less than 5 years ago, right? We can all agree that Sony PlayStation destroyed Xbox as far as numbers and sales and everything else goes, right? For PlayStation 4 generation. It's kind of been bad. It's been kind of been up and down. Again, I'm always going to preach it from the aspect. I think this is more so embarrassing for Sony than anything else. That Microsoft is as much of a topic, is as much of a discussion, is as much of a threat than anything else. Because Sony already has that brand loyalty. Sony already has the IP. Sony can easily get the dev talent. You tell a dev that, oh, I work for, that you, hey, come work for Sony. That's instant. I got into a car the other day, and the reason that brand loyalty there, I got into a car yesterday, and you saw in the center console, Sony. That gets in people's mind. Brand. What have you been seeing over the last 30 years? Sony. You don't see Microsoft on stuff like that unless you're in PC, unless you're in the PC space. Unless you're in a business space. You're not going to know shit about Microsoft like that. Until Xbox came out, until other services that you use in these different aspects come out. Whereas brand loyalty is a thing, man, and it's all right. Let's have those discussions. Let's be open about it and everything. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep it jiving. But the bigger picture here is just that, yeah, I mean, the Sony brand loyalty could change fast. I see what you're saying, Firebird, but honestly, I can't agree with that because it hasn't changed up to this point. You go outside right now and ask somebody what console what they have or what they're gonna get, they're gonna tell you a PlayStation. 9 times out of 10. I've tested the theory. I've tested the theory over the last 29 years of my life. I've tested it. Anybody that you talk to, it's very rare that you run into people that be like, yeah, I got an Xbox. Most of the time people will be like, oh, PC, PlayStation. That's what I do. I like PlayStation because they're exclusives. No, I like PlayStation for these reasons. Oh, I just grew up with it. That's why I just play that. Again, we want to take the conversation out from the social side and put it in reality. That's the reality. That's why those consoles have sold to 140 million. Brand loyalty. Sony also made it very easy for you to get a DVD player inside of a console or inside of one box where you can play games and play DVDs. PlayStation 2? You don't think that did something for them? As far as brand goes, as far as like brand recognition and everything else goes? Kind of like, that's part of the discussion. It's just being able to pull yourself out of the world, look at the darker spaces and say, hey, what is the bigger picture in this? It's not just about those 2 titles that you guys keep bringing up. It's about everything. It's about the talent. It's about the IP. It's about the potential. It's about growing gaming outside of its space. He said, I gave my nephew and niece's Xbox, a Switch, and PS console. They still prefer PC. And people are. But PC isn't for everybody. Again, before a little bit behind the show, as soon as I updated everything on my PC last night. I'm a PC dude. I love PC. I've been playing on PC since 2000. Before that, I mean, I grew up with Windows 95. But I got it, last night I updated everything. Everything was good to go. Everything was locked in, working. I restarted my PC. Well, I turned it off for the night, turned it back on this morning, and none of my audio shit worked. Now, if I didn't know what to do and I didn't know any better, I would have been flustered. Pong, I could imagine you being like, this fucking shit is stupid as hell. What the fuck? Pong would have been hitting me up like, still, I don't know what the fuck's going on with this dumbass shit. This shit's dumb as fuck. That's why I don't do it. That's why I don't have a PC.
That's why I don't do it.
See?
That's why I don't do it.
But if I wouldn't have known what to do to kind of help address the issues, and even me sometimes, you never know what could be going on just because everything could be perfect, and it just takes one piece of not hardware, but one piece of software to an update, a driver is messed up, whatever the case, to throw everything out of whack. Or maybe your PC needs another restart and it's not telling you. It just depends, man. Especially, and then in the new era that we're going into, we're so far removed out of the conversation. These younger kids don't care about whether it's PC versus Xbox versus PlayStation. They don't care about none of that shit. Does it play Roblox? Does it play Fortnite? Does it play Minecraft? Does it play Pokemon? Can I play all my old Nintendo games that they're being re-released? That's what they care about. But again, there's still millions of people that are making these arguments, which is why we're going to bring this up in conversation. It makes for good conversations. Firebird, he says that PCs aren't that bad anymore. Brother, yes it is. Yes, it is. I understand that you're saying that, and I could say that myself. But I'm not going to tell somebody who's not interested in PC to go get a PC. I'm not. I'm not going to tell Pong, hey, Pong knows all the greatness that you can get on PC and the potential and everything else through emulation. That doesn't make him want to jump into the PC space more. Why? Because the ease of accessibility to be able to turn on a box and it just works is better than you having to finagle anything. Put together anything, keep it updated, whatever the case may be. It's not for everybody is my only point. And it will continuously not be for everybody. The same way VR, it's not for everybody. Still to this day, people get motion sickness from it. Yes, is it getting better? Sure. I don't think it's good enough to me yet, because I want it more in the aspect of where, like me and Paul say all the time, I want to be locked into that world, full body experience. You know what I'm saying? Like Sword Art Online type shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of aspect that I want to be in. But not the current kind of thing. And it's not doom and gloom. I don't want people, and I don't understand. I'm not gonna say that I don't understand. I don't get the aspect of making everything about doom and gloom immediately. Now it's gonna be a problem. These people are trying to kill the console space, or people are trying to kill gaming, and they're doing nothing but growing gaming. That's it. We want more people to be involved so that we can get those key titles that we want. As much as you may not want Scalebound to come back, Xbox could afford. Whether they should or not is a completely different conversation. But Xbox right now can afford to set aside some budget to let Platinum Games work on that game and prove themselves if they wanted to. Especially now. Now, if that relationship is tarnished because of the previous deal and because they fucked off the money, that's something completely different. And that's completely understandable if Microsoft doesn't want to do that. But that was also in a different time, where they needed it because they had nothing to back up their hardware. Halo Gears of Forza is only good for so many people. A lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of polls, I've been seeing a lot of conversation. There's still a lot of people who prefer to play single player games because people don't like playing online. I heard Jasper talking about Xbox Ultimate yesterday. He likes playing Crossfire because he's not matched up with sweats all the time. And honestly, I understand that perspective. Yes, as a gamer who considers themselves pretty good at games, no, you don't want to sit there and every time that you jump on, have to sweat. That shit gets annoying. Or have to play at your max potential if you want to do good and all. If you want to do good at all. Nobody wants to do that on a day-to-day basis. So to keep it more open, I can understand why he's having some fun with it, why it's enjoyable, because it does give you that other aspect. Whereas Halo, if I get into Halo, unless I'm playing quick play, and even in quick play, because it is skill based, dog. If I'm not playing at a certain level, I'm gonna get thrashed around, especially if I haven't played in it for a while. It's different for different people. You just got to have that aspect. Be honest with yourself. Again, what I'm always going to go back to say is that you have to know what you stand for as a gamer. Do you believe in what you've made your investments into? Just like you spending money on anything else. Did you get a good pot to boil your noodles in? Did you get a good skillet to brown that meat in? Did you get a good toaster? Pause. Browning meat got to get a pause?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Pause.
Did you get a good Instapot? Did you get a good air fryer? Did you get a good... These are all questions that we've always asked ourselves. Did you get a good TV? These are always questions that you ask yourself. Be confident with the decisions that you make, not what other people tell you should be important, what you feel is important. And I feel like that's really the bigger picture of what Pong is saying here and what I'm always going to preach back to, because the console is going to be there no matter what, in any avenue. Like Firebird was saying too, like that's just anywhere. No matter what, and it's just, anybody can tell you this, we're going to have these arguments, and no matter what hobby that you like, it is what it is.
Constructive arguments and discussions are always welcome.
But
always.
I don't want to steer you guys the wrong way, because I'm going to let you know that if these things continue to happen, we will talk about it. And we're going to talk about it from the aspect of our perspective, because I feel like it is important for there to be other people out there who may not want to take the time to talk about community and gaming and the industry, the bigger picture. And we want to be those people that can, or that like to sit down and talk about that. Because talking about news all week is just boring. Like, it can be extremely boring, especially for me. I'll be honest with y'all. Again, I haven't been locked into the community and everything, and or to the space to know everything that's been going on news-wise. Because in my free time, instead of looking at the drama on Twitter, I'm trying to play the game. Because that's my disconnect, right? That's what it's for. That's what a hobby is for. That's why you went outside back in the day. You get that disconnect, and because we were forced to. That's completely different.
I was gonna say there was nothing else to do, brother. You go back to my era, there was nothing else to do. That's what we did. That was our video game was outside.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was like that for me too, except it was more so forced. You take your little ass outside.
I couldn't wait to get out of the house back in the day, man. But of course, those days are long gone, because I could travel through, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks away,
right,
in a huge radius,
right,
and my mom wasn't worried about me, right?
Exactly.
Nowadays, you can't do that.
Nah. Nowadays, especially I guess I got daughters, man. So it's like I'm super paranoid about that shit, especially nowadays. I mean,
Steel.
When I have honest conversations,
we had this little old lady in our neighborhood. Right. Older lady, lived by herself. I don't know. I was too young to know whether or not maybe she was a widow. Her husband died and was gone and whatever else. She was lonely. Bro, we used to be riding our bikes, playing around, whatever else. If she saw us and it was like afternoon, she'd invite us into her house and give us sandwiches and stuff.
That used to be the thing back in the day, man.
Yeah, that used to be back in the day, right? She'd be like, "Hey, you guys want some want some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches? Come on in." And we used to go in, and my mom had zero worries about it. She'd be like, "Oh, I'd come back later." And she'd be like, "Did you have lunch?" I'd be like, I don't even remember what her name was.
Miss Susie, like, "Oh, or whatever."
Yeah. I'm like, she had a peanut butter and jelly for us. My mom would be like, "Oh, that's cool." Can you imagine nowadays?
Oh, now it's like, you went to whose house and did what?
What? You went in somebody else's house? What?
Like, are you okay? Especially like you want to have honesty, you want to have bigger conversations. Well, I mean, like you want to argue about something. Like, weren't you arguing about all the people being fucking sex trafficked and shit like that still to this day? Like,
we got bigger stuff. That's my whole thing, man. I just want to. I just like the celebration of the community, and I love to see. And Steele and I are both here for that reason, because we love where this industry is going, right? That's why I call it the golden age of gaming. Right. Like I sit back and I can't believe how much entitlement, and that's Steele knows that's one of my biggest peeves, right? That's one of my things, how entitled people are nowadays in society general, but I see it right. It is humans, but at the same time, it just feels like it's gotten so much worse. And when I look at this community and where gaming is at from where I came from, in all these decades, and what I've seen grow, and how much there is to celebrate in gaming right now.
Right.
And for people to be doing this nonsense, for the circuses to be showing up and trying to affect people's enjoyment of this hobby.
Right.
That's where I have the real issue, because right now, I don't care where you game. I give Steele a hard time about the Pokemon. Everybody here knows my feelings about Nintendo, and we're going to talk about it. But that Nintendo Direct hit me a certain way. They keep trying to pull me back, Steele. And it's been decades since I've owned anything Nintendo, but they keep trying to pull me back. And I may give you a hard time and joke about Pokemon, but at the end of the day, I'm happy for people who get a new Pokemon and get to go enjoy it, right? I'm happy when and if they announce the new Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. I will be happy for the Zelda fans, even though I personally don't like Zelda and I have zero interest in playing it. There's just so much to celebrate out here right now as gamers, no matter where you're playing, PC, mobile, I don't care. There's just so much to celebrate because we gamers right now are rich beyond our wildest imaginations. And people just seem to throw that all out the window and just want to sit out here and somehow have their egos boosted by a console war nonsense. Correct. Yeah, exactly. Stroked. Pause. That's where I have the hardest time with all of this, because I can't believe that there's honestly people that are so jaded or so wrapped up in that ego that they need to console war. There's a lot of different facets to it, but I just see a lot of people out here very entitled. And I have a real hard time with that because, man, bro, I don't care what you're doing, man. If you're gaming, you're having a freaking blast right now.
That'd be grateful,
There's something for everybody, man. There is something for everybody. Yeah. And you should be grateful. Again, the kid in me, my former self would never have believed the day would come that I can turn on a machine, pay 10, 15 bucks a month and have 400 plus titles just sitting there waiting for me to enjoy. Never in my wildest dreams would I ever thought that was possible, but yet here we are. So that's the thing. Yeah, man. What a way to start the show, Steel.
Hey, man.
What a way.
I'm good with it, man. I mean, again, like we do here. We got to give people some help. Pong said he gotta tell people what he learned from the community, and again, I feel like it's an amazing aspect to come from. Again, you're not going to get the same type of energy in other places, not going to get the same type of passion in other places. And being able to have open conversation, to be honest with each other and just say, hey, this is our aspect of it. This is our opinion. This is how we feel about it. Me and Pong feel like it's about the bigger picture, what is possible. Not just, if Microsoft ends up killing themselves, then they end up killing themselves. Who cares? It is what it is. I'm not in it just because I need to see Microsoft win or I need to see Sony win. If they kill themselves, who cares? Somebody will be there to replace them. But that's why we don't want them to die. That's why we want competition. And 2 IPs isn't going to create all the competition. It's just going to create more money flow. It's going to cause more people to get invested. People who haven't tried out Mass Effect, again, for an example, that is on Game Pass, are going to play Mass Effect and say, damn, this fucking game is the greatest game I've ever fucking played. Like I was able to. I didn't play it on release. I didn't play it in Game Pass either. I paid it when the Legendary Edition came out. But again, because I've had all these opportunity afforded to me, because I have all this versatility and, the investments that I've made, I've saved in a lot of areas for Game Pass. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I only play a couple of games out of Game Pass. And it's like, all right, great. If it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not supposed to be for everybody. Why? Again, my biggest thing is, why is gaming looked at differently than anything else? You don't argue about Netflix and Hulu. You don't argue about Disney Plus and Paramount Plus. You don't argue about HBO Max. You don't argue that you only have one internet provider or two or one electricity company. You don't argue that there's just only one movie place that you really go watch your movies at. We're not arguing about any of those things. You argue about trivial shit. So understand that this is these are trivial things. And again, it's all just based off of opinion. Know what you stand for, know what you like, know what you're into, and go from there. That's all that matters. Don't be swayed by the masses just because they said it's okay.
And I've been looking right now, Steel. Look, people are creating now fake articles that Phil's receiving death threats. Look, this is where we go sideways, people. This is where we go sideways. Okay. There's honestly console warriors out here, clowns, editing IGN articles to make it look like Phil was getting death threats. Okay. Look, this is where we go. This is where we go sideways. This is where it gets to that point. And this is what Steel and I are talking about. Again, the normal everyday banter is one thing. But then you go outside and you have you go outside of the bounds. You go out of bounds and you have so much energy in your day and you're not playing any games that you're creating fake articles for this shit.
Yeah.
Bro, again, when we have new people jump in this community, this is the last thing we want them to see. We want people to jump in this community for the right reasons. And if this is what they see out the gate is a clown show, is a circus, and they didn't come here for that clown show and that circus, we're going to lose more people from entering this community, people who could contribute great things to this community. That's my problem. There's people leaving Twitter every day because of all this nonsense. And again, that's their choice. That's their personal choice. And I understand if you say, well, hey, you know, they couldn't handle it. Okay, I get that. I come from the old school, right? I have those feelings about a lot of things like online, right? I have those same feelings. But at the end of the day, that's not the world we're living in now, right? And that's my problem with it. I just want more people to be celebrating along with us than fighting this nonsense in the clown show and the circus. So please, if you are doing this stuff, get some help. I'm not going to shy away from that. Again, you have every right to do whatever you want to. I'll never try to censor you. I'll never try to tell you that you have, that you can't do what you do, but I'm going to tell you to get some help. Okay. I'm going to tell you that because that's at the end of the day, what this is about. If you have that much energy for this, then you need to wake up every morning with that makeup on. That's what makes you feel good. Get some help because you aren't healthy. Okay. Period. Good. Yeah, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. That's a different type of makeup.
Oh, okay. My fault. I just got to make sure, I never know sometimes, there's different types. But yeah, I mean, again, passionate conversation. I love it. I mean, that's what it's about. I guess we'll definitely skip over some things. We'll skip over some structure this week just because it's been kind of a crazy week. With those kind of conversations, I guess it kind of jumps into, where we want to take it from here. We talked about gaming being in the bigger picture. Should it all be in multiplayer?
Well, we got to do upcoming games. We do have to do that. We still haven't done that yet.
No, we haven't. I mean, we could definitely skip over and get into the next topic, or we can.
Well, we can do it real quick. It's a short list. So,
okay.
But there's some big ones. There are some big ones this week. So let's do it for everybody who comes to expect it. Let's make sure we do it, and then we can go from there. So
okay, give it to the people real quick while I get this set up.
Yeah, no problem.
So get this out of the way.
No problem. So this week and this upcoming week in gaming starts on the 14th of February. We are coming in the halfway point of February. My God, it's crazy, Steel. Oh, the weather's getting crazy here. That's how I always know when we're getting to this point. We had 40s one day this week. This morning, I wake up to -11. Man, I'm telling you what, there ain't nothing like it. So this week in gaming brought to you by Game Informer. As always, we start off February 15th with Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires. A lot of Dynasty Warrior fans out there. The Empires line of Dynasty Warriors is a lot more strategy heavy. I've definitely dove into them. They are fun. There are some people who are hardcore about these. So that's coming out for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, Stadia, PC. So everybody is getting Dynasty Warriors 9 Empires this week on February 15th. Then we've got the Assassin's Creed, the Ezio collection is coming to Switch finally. So we've enjoyed those for I don't know how many years now. But that is coming to Switch on February 17th. And then for all you fighting fans out there, this one is getting some very good early reviews. And this is something I love the animation that they are bringing with this version here. The King of the Fighters 15 is coming. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series consoles, PlayStation 4, PC on February 17th. So again, fighting fans, look, it's kind of been, up and down with fighting games. They have kind of gone by the wayside. So when one comes out and one is coming out across all platforms for the most part, it is to be celebrated. And King of the Fighters has a long history. So definitely keep your eye on this one. Again, February 17th, King of the Fighters 15. Early reviews are looking very, very promising for that title. And then huge one on PC, Total War. Warhammer 3, obviously also coming to Game Pass on PC as well. So check out Total War. I wish it would come to consoles. I've been asking for Total War to get a console version because that would be huge. Total War is amazing RTS. But that is going to be a big launch. Tons of people looking forward to that. And then, of course, the massive one that everybody's talking about, that we have seen so much from, that I say looks absolutely fantastic. It was my favorite new IP of last gen. Horizon Forbidden West does show up, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, February the 18th. And it is looking phenomenal. It really is. I'm loving everything I'm seeing from that game. It looks like they just took what they made in the first one and expanded upon it X amount of times, right? So that's what you want when you get a sequel. You want to take all the best of the best from the first one, and you want the developer to go ahead and make it even better and expand. And that's exactly what we're seeing here from Guerrilla. It is incredible. Really, I can't say enough about it. Steel, you got anything to add?
Other than, hey guys, just buy the game on PlayStation 4 so you can get that upgrade.
Yeah. Reminder, you can buy the PlayStation 4 version and get the PlayStation 5 upgraded for free. They did confirm that. They did change I know there was some dispute about that. I know Jeff Grubb was reaching out to Sony because the store was not showing that. They actually did update the store to reflect that, so that they are going to honor that, what they had said. So that's good news right there. But that is this week in gaming. Like I said, short list, but pretty impressive list, actually. A lot of good stuff coming out there. So 100%.
Hell yeah, let's go. I mean, yeah, Horizon Forbidden West, it should be good. I'm expecting to probably do about a 91 in Metascores for just personal opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, and hopefully it does. Hopefully it continues to do well. Again, I like the whole Dinobot thing. I still haven't been able to get through Zero Dawn. Other games, man. Play other games. I just can't get back to it. I'd rather play something else. And it's unfortunate. That's the era that we live in. I mean, that's a personal problem. So it is what it is. I'm not going to say it's not because the story's boring or whatever else the case might be. I know a lot of people will tell you that, oh, you would have played the game if you really liked it like that. No, the truth is there's no multiplayer, so I have no reason to stay invested. Call it what you want. It doesn't give me a reason to be like, oh, I need to get home and play that. Single player games will never do that for me. Elden Ring, that's completely different. So I'm a Souls fan. I love that. There's also a co-op aspect to those games a lot of the time, even though we do end up playing a good bit of it single player. But it just depends on what you like. That's what I'm always going to go back to. Know what you stand for as a gamer, know what you're into, know what you like, know what you enjoy, and to kind of go from there. Again, we're all limited on time, right? Anybody could go tomorrow, enjoy what you have today for when you can enjoy it, and then kind of go from there. Firebird, I wish I could go back to Valhalla, but my God, all this extra content coming out, I can't just imagine myself spending another 200 hours in Valhalla. I just can't. And that's also a personal thing. It's more so because I feel like it's monotonous. But that's just me. Again, hopefully Assassin's Creed kind of goes back to its old adage, just because, and especially if the rumors are true. Although I don't like the aspect that me hearing that there was a DLC that was coming out for Assassin's Creed Valhalla that they're now turning into a standalone product. I don't necessarily like that idea. But if it goes back to the roots of what Assassin's Creed was, we could be looking at something great, right? I mean, it could be less than a 50-hour experience, something that you can get through, that can be tasteful, or even take your time with, and hopefully hits the right notes with a lot of people. So I don't know. I like original ideas. I mean, I like for people to iterate, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess it just depends.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, right, Steele?
100%.
You're making me jealous, by the way, with this Lost Ark footage in the back.
Like it? I'm telling you, man, if you like Diablo, Lost Ark it's very attractive. I'm not gonna lie. This game. And I just want to splooge about it a little bit. Look, I'm over 6 hours in, and it's not a whole lot of time, especially for an MMO. That's not nothing. Apparently, the game doesn't open up for you until after you hit level 50. So I've been trying to get to there because, again, I know a game hits me when I'm starting to look up information on what would be good for me to do. Because, you can play the game as is, but they do recommend that you get to level 50 so you can get all your daily bonuses and everything else, because you don't get those until that point. But yeah, man. If this is something that you're into, I would definitely say try it out. You got a PC? Try it out. I do feel like this does need to come to console. And it's probably going to have another one of those Black Desert situations to where it lives on PC for a bit. It just came to the West. Give it some time. If it continues to be as big as it is, it may end up coming to console. But since Amazon is supporting it, it doesn't have to. They can keep it right where it's at.
By the looks of it, Steel, Smilegate probably should have put effort into bringing this to console instead of Crossfire X. That's all I'm going to say.
I like that segue. So let's talk a little bit about Crossfire X. And I'm going to be very candid and very short because, again, when you know what you like, when you know what you're into, I don't really have to look too much.
Let me give some people some perspective real quick as you go into your conversations. A lot of people are like, what is this? Why is Crossfire X even a thing? Let me tell you something. Crossfire, the first one, worldwide in 2020, made $12 billion for Smilegate. $12 billion for Crossfire, the original Crossfire, on PC in 2020. This has been a big brand, even if not all of us have been aware of it. This is a moneymaker. And that's why they did Crossfire X. So I just want to give that perspective because a lot of people are like, why bring this game out in 2022? Well, 12 billion. That's why. That's why they did this.
Yeah, 100%. So. Hey, and Sly Crow, if you're going to be on Lost Art, man, hit me up. Anybody that's going to be on Lost Art, yeah, definitely hit me up, man. We can group up or whatever the case might be. I'm trying to get to the end game, but anyway, so just to kind of go, because I'm probably going to have less to say than you are, Pong, because you've actually touched Crossfire.
The multiplayer, because I still don't have access to the single player.
I think they said that they fixed it. I mean, I don't know. I don't care.
I didn't check this morning, so
yeah. And honestly, I don't care. You know, Crossfire X is another one of those things to where I wasn't interested in it. I didn't really care. I know a lot of people were saying, oh, well, you know, people were hyping it up. It was in their list of games and everything else. And y'all should have known that once Microsoft backed off from marketing it probably wasn't going well. And they didn't want to necessarily support it at that aspect.
They stopped publishing it too. It was originally going to be Microsoft Game Studio published.
So if that's the case, then you should probably know that there's something else fishy going on there. And it is what it is. It's unfortunate. It's very difficult for a first-person shooter to come in and be of a dominant presence. And I believe the reason it was dominant over in the East because, I mean, they like those style of games. Right? They like it different. They try not to play the typical Call of Duties, and that's more of a Western thing. Call of Duty is more of a Western thing.
Yeah, and like Mav brought up, it probably, like in places like China, it might be one of the few games that are available because not every game's available there, right?
Yeah.
So like CSGO, right?
Yeah, so 100%. I mean, so that's another aspect of it, and as a gamer, that is something that you kind of have to think about. There's a reason why this was a big deal. Why they said, "Oh, we're going to go in and we're going to do a story." I don't have any real relation with Remedy for me to be like, oh yeah, they're going to bring us some good content. And I've heard some up and down things about the story. I heard it's just like any other Call of Duty story. And will I find out whether it is or it isn't? No, I don't care. It's not going to make me download it just because that's the other adage. I do believe it being a Game Pass gives you all the access and everything else. The other thing I believe in too, though, is that just because it's a Game Pass doesn't mean you have to download it or play it or whatever else the case might be. You don't. And Crossfire X is one of those games that I'm not going to jump into. I can care less. If I want to play Call of Duty, if I want to play a shooter like that, I'll play Call of Duty. I'll play Warzone, or I'll play Battlefield, or I'll play Halo. I'll play Halo any day before I play any other first-person shooter right now. This is what it is. You have your preferences. I'd rather go play Apex. I'd rather go play something else. That's the problem. And it's unfortunate. It is what it is. Now, I don't know. I just didn't have that personal interest for me there. So no, I haven't jumped into it. I don't really have anything to say. I don't know if it's trash. I don't know if it's broke. I don't know whether I do see that people don't like it like that. I do see that people are complaining about it. But I'm not going to bash the game. You know what I mean? If it doesn't hit for people, it doesn't hit. It'll just be like any other game that tries to come out and make some kind of scene, and it'll either make or break. Now, again, this could be the one game that opens up in the Eastern market for Xbox, and they could be like, "Oh, Crossfire X sold the most it's ever sold, and oh, it's doing great on our console space, and it being in Game Pass got 45 million people to try it." That could happen. Again, there's a reason it's in that space. But I do feel like if Microsoft was going to publish it and they stepped back from publishing it, there was something else bigger there that didn't necessarily click, and they don't want to be like, they didn't want to necessarily support that. I mean, yeah, and it is hard to play every single game, but that's why I always say, if you have the interest in it, then try it. It's just not for me. I'd rather play Rainbow Six Extraction or something. So, Paul, I know you have a little bit stronger of a feeling. I did hear some of the points that Mav was making. Also Jasper, whose opinions I do take pretty seriously, because I know Jasper got the skill. I don't know Mav is very versatile in his opinions as far as games go and everything, especially when it comes to shooters and everything. So I definitely take his opinion serious on it too. But for you, as someone who was invested in Call of Duty, has spent plenty of money on getting looking good and everything like that, is Crossfire X going to get you to buy that skin that you want?
No.
Are they going to get that as $5 from you?
No, I played about an hour of the multiplayer, right? Because I still don't have access to the single player. And that was a huge issue, because I am a Remedy fan. So I do want to play the single player. Now, I've heard mixed reactions from the single player. I've heard some people really like it, and some people just go, no, it's not good. So I can't wait to jump into the single player. That's what I was waiting on. And we're only getting one piece of the single player. Like, they're launching it in pieces, right? So you have to buy the other ones, but I do want to try it and just see if I like it, right? Because I do think Remedy does bring some unique ideas. They do have a bullet time in the single player, which is always cool. Brings me back to the Max Payne days, of course.
Right.
So I do want to try it. And I think and when this was initially shown, Crossfire X has been so confusing how they've shown it, but the initial showing of Crossfire X was amazing. Like, the trailer, the pieces that they showed us looked like, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for me, it looked explosive. It looked fun. It looked like a Call of Duty campaign. It looked like it was, or a Battlefield campaign. It looked like it was going to be just something,
I agree.
Short, sweet, but fun to dive into, right? And then the multiplayer beta came out last year, and it was like, what is this? Why is this? And then we found out, of course, that Remedy's doing single player, Smilegate's doing the multiplayer, and this is big. Crossfire is supposedly big elsewhere in the world. That's why they're doing Crossfire X. But it still felt like it was a decade-old first-person shooter with the multiplayer. And then they went, they came out the beta, got all the criticism that came with it, and then they went away and have been very quiet. And then at one point again, Microsoft Game Studios was going to publish this. Then all of a sudden, marketing went away. All of a sudden, everybody was kind of like, wait, what's going on? This was going to be in Game Pass. Then we didn't know if it was going to be in Game Pass. Then it comes out, well, Smilegate's taken back the publishing rights somehow, some way, and they're publishing the whole entire thing. Okay, cool. Well, there's no marketing. There's no nothing. There's no excitement. There's no anything going on. They're really quiet. I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, Remedy's still finishing up the campaign. That's kind of a Remedy thing. We know Remedy's not good with getting things out on time. So, okay, they're going to take some extra time. They're going to get their side of things right. Meanwhile, Smilegate is working on the multiplayer. I'm sure they took the criticism and the feedback and are working on the multiplayer. Well, here it is, launch day. And everybody's like, boy, this just really kind of came out of the blue, didn't it? Even though we kind of knew it was coming, but still just kind of came out of the blue. Where's the hype been? And no review codes sent out early. Nothing like that. And that's when the red flags start raising. Well, I download the multiplayer. I'm like, there's no single player available. I even tried to do it through the app. I found it in the app to download. It said install to console, hit the install to console like I always do. It shows like it's working, but no install pops up. Nothing. Try it again. Nothing. I'm like, okay, let's dive into multiplayer then. Okay, 7 gig download. Let's dive into multiplayer. Brother, like I told you in the DMs, man, I start playing it. First of all, I go to the menu screen, right? I see basically the exact same thing that I saw in the beta.
Okay.
Limited maps, very few maps. Really nothing that grabs my attention. They got the storefront up. There's some cool skins. I'll give them that. There's a battle pass up, right? All the things that we come to expect from a games as a service now. Battle pass is there. It seems reasonable. I'm like, okay, all right, that's cool. They're offering some good stuff in there. Jump into a match, bro. It's the same thing I played in the beta, like incrementally better, right? I can say incrementally the performance is better. I can say incrementally the guns feel better. I could say, incrementally the overall approach that you're taking, because I was playing basically domination is basically what it is. I was playing that mode. Incrementally, I could tell the controls felt a little bit better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But nothing that tells me what they've been doing for the past 6, 7, 8 months. Nothing that tells me, hey, we really went back to the drawing, not back to the drawing board because you can't do that, but we really spent a lot of time polishing up and getting this thing feeling more like a modern day first person shooter. No, again, this is, and I understand like it's still popular worldwide. And I understand that CSGO all these years later, what is it, 12 years, 13 years, whatever the heck it is at this point, is still dominating, right? The PC side of things. They still have 500,000 concurrent players per day, 13 million people per month touch CSGO. Like, it's ridiculous.
Still,
but but this does feel like a shooter from a different era. Like it really does in how it plays. There's a lot of performance issues when you get into a match. You can feel it. They've got these weird cutscenes still. I don't know. You probably don't know this, but like you obviously are earning points during the match. And then you can use those points to get like a specialist. Okay. Like a specialist class, that gives you different abilities. Okay. So you got one that gives you like a heartbeat monitor. You got another one that like totally transforms your guy into a dual wielding half demon dude like thing, right? Where you can kind of your speed increases, your movement speed's way up, your dual wielding SMGs. Well, when you pick that class, it goes into this weird cutscene, like in the middle of the gameplay of the guy like entering into the battle.
Yeah.
It's cool, like it's anime style, like it's like dramatic, right? But it's during the middle of the gameplay.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, no. We don't need that stuff that interferes or takes away even 2-3 seconds from where you're doing, right, in the gameplay. So I understand why they were trying to do it. It's very stylized. It's very, wow, okay, this is kind of cool, but you every time you do it, you're interrupting your gameplay in the middle of a match. So it's just things like that just don't feel good, right? And like I said, I played around an hour, went up a couple ranks. There was times where I was like, okay, the core of the game, there's something here. Like some of the gunplay feels really well. I saw like K Mega, shout out to K Mega. He was enjoying himself, and you could get kind of into a flow and get into a roll with some of the guns. And I was trying out new weapons too, because they do have a pretty decent selection of weapons, and the attachments really do make a difference on your weapons as well. And you have to spend some of your in-game currency to open some of that stuff up. So I picked up like an LMG and that kind of stuff. And some of them felt really good, but then there was other times where it was just like, what is going on? This is playing terribly right now. And then the spawn camping. Oh my God. This is like going to modern warfare, like old school Call of Duty days, brother, where it is full-fledged. Like if they get if their team's on top of your team and all of a sudden they all have like that special character, the dual wielding character who is OP, bro, they are spawn camping you nonstop. And there's like the building one. I forget what they call the map, but the main one where you're playing inside the building,
right?
You basically only have 2 exit points out of your spawn. Well, they can sit there and funnel you, man. And that's all they do. They funnel you down those spawn points and it's over with. Okay. And it's very hard to break out of that until the points. Because what happens, Steel, is once you reach a certain point marker in the domination mode, then they have you jump out the windows and go to the second spawn, to the second area within the building and start a whole new kind of domination match in the second area. So then everybody has to leave because it's timed, right? So that's when you can get out of that spawn camping. But man, I got locked down in a couple matches where we couldn't do anything. Like we were stuck. Like there was no coming back from it, right? So
yeah, I don't like that shit.
That kind of design, that level design, bro, that went out years and years ago, right? Or at least it's attempted. Every game has its spawn problems at some point, but this one, you're like locked, man. So just things like that really turned me off. I still haven't downloaded. I haven't uninstalled it. Like I said, I'm still waiting for the single player to come out, and I'm going to try the single player. But as nowadays, 2022, with as much competition as there is, as we always talk about, Steel, your game ain't coming out with something very different, or it's not polished, bro, it's going to be lost in the shuffle. So I just don't see like people like sticking with Crossfire X for very long at all, even if you're enjoying it. And like you said, Jasper talked about that he was kind of liking it because he didn't have all the sweaties in there, and he's correct about that. And I did see K Mega enjoying it as well and talking about it. Hey, that's cool. I just don't think it's something that's going to keep people's attention for very long. There's too much other stuff to play, man. There's way too much stuff to other play. So kind of really disappointed because I was on the Crossfire X train. I was like, hey, this could be something really, really good for us, something different. Nah, it's just not. So hopefully the single player will redeem it a little bit, but I'm not expecting much. So we'll see.
Yeah, I could just be honest. I don't know what people were expecting out of it. I wasn't expecting for it to be that great. It didn't look to be like it was going to be that great. Sure, you can show me whatever you want to from single player, but it's not nothing that I haven't seen before. You didn't look good, sure. Well, you can make anything look good, but that's not what I care about. I mean, it's like in those types of games, you have to give me something that is going to interest me. That can entice me, and you showing me flashy cutscenes. We've been had that in Call of Duty. We've been had that in Battlefield. That was in Titanfall. Like, that's not you going invisible. What is this, Crisis? All of a sudden, what are we playing? Like, and so it's hard to make that versatility, which is why I didn't have that much faith in it in the beginning. And then to kind of hear that it's kind of up and down. It's hard to say, but it's kind of what I anticipated. And it's unfortunate. It is what it is. They felt like it would work. At least it's getting more eyes on it than it was previously. That's the main goal. And it already has its base. People are already playing the game, right? In the East. It's big over there. Again, like you said, Pong, $12 billion, was it?
Yeah, $12 billion in 2020.
$12 billion in a year, 2020. If it's growing, great. And if it gets some attention over here, that's not going to do anything but add on to the pile. Again, they're not hurting.
And obviously the team has talent, right? Steel. They created Lost Ark. It's from the same company, right? So they've got talent. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, but like
seems like they're outdated, man.
Like we see with any other company, though, man. Like. Some of these teams are separated, and you can see one type of game come out on one side and then another type of game come from the other side. And obviously they know somewhat what they're doing, and what they wouldn't have made $12 million in a year. Right. You know what I mean? So
yeah, $12 billion ain't nothing to joke about, right? That's a lot of money.
That $12 billion could have been, like y'all been making the jokes on, could have been invested in Lost Ark. But even in Lost Ark, I do see some faults where there's some missing attention to detail that I feel like they could have added in, bringing it over to the West. For me, at least. I know that's not what it's about. Again, you don't necessarily play Diablo because it looks like the greatest fucking game of all time, though you do expect a certain level out of it. And it does meet those standards. I just wish it was kind of to that next level. And maybe it could be different if I was playing the game at 4K or whatever the case, and I'm not. So that maybe that has some effect on it. No, it is what it is.
Yeah. It's got a lifetime player base of 1 billion users in 80 countries. Crossfire.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was one of the 3 most popular video games in China.
It's working. So, I mean, it works. So, I mean, again, if it's working over there, hey, $12 billion, you can't shake a stick at that. You can't just be like, oh, this game is complete garbage. I mean, obviously it's for somebody, right? Yeah. I mean, shit, you can Call of Duty wishes it could make $12 billion.
Let me correct that stat too. I did read it wrong. So just as of See, I read it somewhere else, so I just went into official stats here, so I made sure that I was speaking correctly. Its lifetime revenue as of 2018 was 12 billion.
Ah, okay.
So lifetime as of 2018, but I did see somebody else put 12 billion 2020, but obviously that was wrong. But yeah, no, but it does have. It became a commercial success with more. It's the game spawned a media franchise, a film adaptation of the game.
I can see that.
Was announced in October 2015. A Chinese television drama series based on the game named Crossfire premiered in July 2020, starring Lu Han and Leo Wu. It became a commercial success with more than 1.7 billion views in China as of October 2020. This is a big franchise, man.
It makes sense. I mean, again, we can all say the same things about CSGO. CSGO is not attractive to me.
That's why I said, no. Right.
But
here it is, dominating.
It's still. So you go to Steam, that look right up there, number one. CSGO, right on up there. You can say the same thing for League of Legends. If you're into that, MOBAs, any other MOBA that people play, it's still up there. People love it. Right. That's what people are into, and I mean, hey, it is what it is. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like can you
imagine if the Halo TV show comes out and they have 1.7 billion views? Can you imagine the news it would make?
It would probably destroy the people, and people would be like, "Hey, that's proof. It's coming to Sony."
Right.
Halo on PlayStation.
Those are just crazy numbers to think about, and you wonder why people bend the knee to China and want to get in that market, right?
That's kind of up and down with all their regulations and everything too.
That's what I'm saying. But they try, right? People try because of that, right there. Those numbers are ridiculous. That's absolutely insane.
I think when they're limiting you in such a way, I mean, that's what happens. All right. So let's talk about another big player in the market, because they just continue to do what they want, and it just works, right? Nintendo. I think that's the perfect segue, since we're talking about Eastern markets and Eastern companies and things like that. Nintendo. They had a Nintendo Direct. And again, I don't know what it is about 2022. But I feel like Nintendo went into like their board meeting last year or the year prior. It had to have been last year. And we're like, how can we just blow everything up? And they're seemingly doing just that with the Nintendo Direct. Again, like me and Pong say here, we respect the hustle. Again, they brought me back in with the Nintendo with Pokemon Arceus. Because of Pokemon Arceus, I bought, the Joy-Cons. You know what I'm saying? I bought, I bought 3 copies of the game. Now they got this. They have a SD Gundam game that's coming to the Switch, which, come to find out, it's going to be on everything, which is an amazing thing because I'd much rather play that on Xbox. But they're bringing a lot of games back, so I'm gonna kind of go down the list, and then we can kind of talk about it from there. I know you had a few in there that you were really interested in. One that I know that you were kind of just like, hey man, they might bring me back into it, and I'm not too familiar with it. And I was trying to see about getting some gameplay. The gameplay of it back in the day reminds me of some gameplay from back in the day.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to see if they had any updated gameplay, but like trailers and anything, but it looks like they didn't show much. At least from the way that they showed it like it was going to be like some Armored Core game, and I can guarantee it's not probably going to be that, based off of how the old gameplay was.
It's a strategy. It's a turn-based strategy game.
But the way that they kind of advertise it to you, it's like, look, it's a mech. You're gonna be behind it.
Front mission back in the day. Yeah, you do get to customize your mechs though.
Okay, so the customization is there.
Yeah,
but it's not like this third person thing.
No,
okay, gotcha.
No,
it's a strategy game.
It's a strategy game. It's a turn-based tactics game.
That's what I figured. Yeah, I mean that's what the gameplay I was seeing. I was like, unless they're completely remastering it or something, I don't know. Which either way, they are remaking it. Hey, they remade Final Fantasy VII, and that was a turn-based game.
You are correct, but they're not going to change this one, which is good.
Hey.
I want my front mission. So,
but all right. So I'm just going to go down the list, and you guys chat. If you see some things that you find interesting, we'll talk about those. Pong, if you hear something that you find interesting, we'll talk about that.
I'm going to jump in.
So let's go down the list. We got Fire Emblem Warriors, 3 Hopes. We got Advanced Wars.
Love
1 and
the
2.
Musu. They're doing it. I love it. I love Fire Emblem. So.
I don't know if Musu's on the Switch is the best thing, but hey, they're neither here nor there. They got No Man's Sky, Mario Strikers Battle League, Splatoon 3, Front Mission First Remake, and Front Mission 2 Remake.
Look. I tweeted at Nintendo for the first time ever because of that. I never in a million years thought they were going to bring back Front Mission. Okay. They had some missteps with Front Mission. We don't even talk about those, but Front Mission 1 and 2 were some of my favorite games back in the day. And they announced not just the remake of 1, but also that 2 will be coming at a later date as well. They're really trying to get me here, Steel. Again, I tweeted at them. I said, I see you, Nintendo, with the Front Mission underneath, with a quote tweeting. That tells you a lot right there. They are trying. They really are. And there's some other ones that I didn't even realize. I don't think you're going to have it in this list, but there's some other games coming out that I didn't even realize were in this list. And with never mind. Continue on. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
All right. They got Disney Speedstorm, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Now, this is the other thing that Nintendo is doing, whether they realize it or not, because Star Wars: The Force Unleashed is a game that I haven't played yet. I haven't had a chance. I know it is, but I'm playing on PC so I can get I can mod it and get the visual upgrades and everything.
Yeah.
Because I know it hasn't aged the greatest. Though every time that I watch gameplay of it, especially on PC, it looks really fucking solid. So I'm like, I want to try that. I love that, and I know I would love the game just because of the combat style, and just because of that whole story aspect of it. Yeah, I mean,
the story is one of the best, even though it's not canon, even though George Lucas supposedly hated it. Look, man, Star Killer is one of the greatest characters to come out of any Star Wars lore. He's up there in the probably top 10 all-time Star Wars characters for me. It is an incredible story.
Was it because just a little side tangent, wasn't he the one that found that balance between light and dark? He was basically so OP, he broke the rules of the Force, right? So that's why Lucas hated him, because he broke so many of the rules. Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
I understand. If I had created something as big as Star Wars and somebody came along and created something that kind of broke my rules, I might be a little upset too.
Is it breaking the rules, or did somebody just find a way to?
It's breaking the rules, bro. That's why it was never considered real canon, because it took liberty with way too much. But it does not matter. The story is fantastic. Obviously, Vader's protege. Look,
yeah, exactly. That's what excites me about it. That's what excites me about it. Anytime that you bring Vader into, you're telling me this is Vader's protege, and he's like way stronger than Vader could ever imagine to be. Oh man, that gets me excited. But anyway, then you go into the Assassin's Creed Ezio collection, like we mentioned earlier. Again, my point with that is whether they realize it or not, they're bringing attention to games that maybe you haven't jumped into yet that you might now, which is, I mean, hey, that's what they're good at. SD Gundam Battle Alliance, again, that was the game that got me the most excited about that whole thing, just because I'm a Gundam fan. SD Gundam was a big major thing back in the day. I know people were saying, where do all these miniature Gundams come from? Where all these small robots come from?
I was just gonna ask you, bro, what's up with that style?
It was just something that they did back in the day. I can't remember where they came from or whatever the case, but they're still big. They're still like big robots that people pilot or whatever the case might be, at least from what I can recall. But they just weren't full size. They were just kind of
they look like robot kids.
Yep, I mean, essentially that's what they were, but they were just used differently. And then it was just like a different universe, essentially. It's something that's always been around. They've done that since not too long after the original Gundam series and everything. I'm more so Gundam Wing. That's when I talk about original Gundam series, I'm talking about Gundam Wing. I'm not talking about Mobile Suit Gundam, because I never liked Mobile Suit Gundam like that personally. There was another one too. I believe it was, anyway, that's a whole different conversation. It'll get us on a side tangent. Then they brought Chrono Cross, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Again, game looks like it's going to be good. I don't know what was up with that whole Kirby eating a car thing. What was up with
that? He
can
can turn into different things. Bro, it's Kirby, man.
He can turn into a car?
Yeah, whatever you
It looked really disturbing. It looked
like
really
what,
disturbing. I'm
have
not
you
gonna
seen
lie.
that people are running with it now and attaching him to like all different sorts of
Yeah,
things?
to everything. It looks really disturbing. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, you know me. I've never been a Kirby fan.
Usually,
So,
when
like,
Kirby eats something, he like
Yeah.
actually turns into it or gains their abilities. He
Yeah,
doesn't
but
just
it,
eat
like-
something and then just remains on like.
right,
What is he, a parasite now? Like,
right. That's kind of what he is.
like this is really weird. Like, I don't know if I like that aspect of it, but whatever.
Sly Crow, he's a Kirby.
Yeah, quite literally, he's a fucking
Yeah.
Kirby. That's really strange. I thought it was somebody that took Kirby and edited him onto a Forza car, and it was like, oh, there you could get this skin on Forza or something like that. I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then to hear that, oh no, he could become just different thing. Like he can eat whatever. I don't get
Eat part of it and then like take control of it or something. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm not a Kirby fan though, so whatever.
That's not what anyway. I guess it's not for me to understand. MLB The Show 22, Kingdom Hearts Integrum, Masterpiece for Cloud, Klonoa Fantasy Reverie Series, Portal.
Which is multi-plat going everywhere.
Okay.
Klonoa is one of those. Yep.
Perfect. You got the Portal Companion Collection, Live Alive, Nintendo Switch Sports. Oh my God.
Hey, Boom's excited. Boom might be still in the chat, so don't downplay that. He is pumped for that to be coming back.
Yeah, and I understand it, but it's just like,
yeah, not me, but that's there's a huge following that have been waiting for that to come.
It could
so,
it could pull a lot of people in, and so and it probably will. Then you got Taiko no Taitsujin Rhythm Festival, Triangle Strategy. I know a lot of people love that.
Triangle
Cuphead
Strategy is looking phenomenal right now.
From what I've seen. Not
Terrible
for me, but
naming.
I know people like it.
Terrible naming, but whatever.
Yeah,
it is what it is. It's Square.
Cuphead, The Delicious Last Course, the new Metroid Dread update, Earthbound, Zombie Army 4, Getsu Fumadin, Undying Moon. That sounds familiar. Why does Getsu Fumadin sound familiar? That sounds like I felt like that was older. That's out now.
Yeah,
too,
it is older though.
Okay. The new Demon Slayer game that came out is coming to Switch. Lego Brawls. I guess you're brawling with Lego characters.
Yeah, it's kind of like a battle royale, I think.
That's
Legos?
interesting. I'm not gonna lie. There's a way to entice me. Like there's one game that I really want to come back that was on Nintendo 64
it's not a battle royale. It's like Smash Brothers, I think.
Oh really? That's interesting.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Lego character Smash Brothers would be interesting. Especially since they're all like the same size, you can give them all.
Right.
Hey, that's pretty dope. You can give them all from different movesets. That's cool. Especially with they have different characters and everything. You could put Superman and you could do a lot of things with that. That sounds
you
could
do a lot of things.
Yeah, damn. There's a lot of potential in that now that I think about it. But no, I was gonna say if there's one game that I would really want to come back from Nintendo 64, that's Lego Racing. Lego Racing was an amazing game, and I feel like we need a modern version of that. The fact that you could literally unlock pieces to build your own car and then go race your car, I thought that was the most amazing thing. And then it was basically Mario Kart, but you made your own vehicle.
Right.
And you put whatever character that you wanted.
You are getting a Disney cart, though, Steel. You are getting a Disney cart.
I don't know if I want that, though. Like,
come on, Mickey Mouse, Captain Jack Sparrow, Sully.
Anyway,
cross platform. It's split screen. Come on, man.
I guess that could be some fun. Maybe. 2 Point Campus, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
Mario Kart 8 is now games as a service.
Hey. Let me show you guys something. Let me.
What are you doing?
You guys want to tell me what that says on top?
Yeah, Wii U.
What is that? What game is that?
Yeah, the same game. It's games as a service now, Steel. It's an ever-living game now.
Interesting. Put that back up there later. But they're releasing like I believe like 40 more tracks.
Yeah, all the old tracks are coming back.
That's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. Mario Kart has always been more of a party game, something you can put on the TV, especially back in the day. You brought people over to the house. I mean, I don't know how that's gonna work now. I know it does have online and everything, but it's one of those.
Does that
games,
run at 60 frames?
I don't know.
I don't ray tracing.
I don't think people play Switch games to can question whether it's 60 frames or not. They just want to make sure, at least as long as it runs smooth, that's all that matters.
Does it have ray tracing?
On Mario's hat, Mario's mustache has some ray tracing in it. But I think it's cool just because a lot of times you get these games to where, I mean, the fact that they're paying you, they're making you pay for it is kind of weird. Well, it's not weird, it's expected, but it just opens it up, man. Again, it kind of speaks to what we spoke to before, as far as like what sports games should do and these other games and the services that are, if you're just going to kind of make the same game, just add more content to the game that you have and continue to support it. So that's why I can't be mad at it, right? Even though it started on the Wii U, they haven't made another Mario Kart since. Why? I mean, there's only so much you could do with Mario Kart, man. Like, you got gliders now, you got planes, you transform into different things. It's kind of like becoming Diddy Kong Racing back in the day, right? Diddy Kong Racing, that's what made Diddy Kong Racing so great, is because it was versatile. It did a little bit of everything, not just kart racing.
Right.
And
yes, Mav, this is Lost Ark, by the way. Yeah, sorry. Yes. Mav was asking if it was Lost Ark. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, this is Lost Ark. Again, I love this game.
But yeah, Mario Kart 8 has had a long and healthy life, and that they're actually going to expand it and give the fans something that they've been asking for a very long time, which is bringing back those old maps.
Yeah.
And bringing it forward is fantastic. Again, respect the hustle. It is what it is. Nintendo does what they do. They don't always listen to their fans, but when they do something like this, hey, gotta praise them.
Great.
It's good. It is great.
I mean, it's great, yeah, man, because, again, that really opens it up. I mean, you think that Nintendo's not trying to work on their online side, too? I mean, even though they're a decade behind, they are. This could definitely be a ploy for that. People, who knows? You can have tournaments now with unlimited tracks. I mean, that's a way to keep people invested. Now you want to get, first place on 40 more tracks. That's at least quite a bit of good time, and Mario Kart isn't always the easiest game to play. There's a lot of randomness that goes into it. You never know when that person's going to hit you with that lightning bolt in first place, and then now you slow it all the way down, or somebody's going to hit you with a red shell or the blue shell, my fault, and hit the guy in first place, and now you're in sixth place. Mario Kart's always been interesting, but I am glad they're continuing to support it. I had to stick to my laurels on that one just because we do ask that for other games, and the fact that Nintendo is doing it, it's cool, at least for Mario Kart. I wish they would do that with Mario Party. Like, give us everything that we had before. Add all the games in there and make it like Monopoly, like a Monopoly game. It just lasts for hours and hours. And then Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I know a lot of people were hyped for that. I tried to get in Xenoblade back in the day, not even back in the day, I want to say about a few years ago, through emulation. Tried to play 1 and 2. I don't know. Maybe I didn't give it enough of a shot, because I know Xenoblade does have the mech aspect and everything in there. It does have the it's more of it's more action based than anything, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it's more of like an action-based combat system that they have in there. I don't know why I couldn't get into it. I think it was just the way that the game was set up at the time. It could have been the way that it was playing. I don't remember. But I know a lot of people, are really excited about Xenoblade. The fact that they're coming out with a 3 is an exciting thing. So, out of all the games that we listed here, man, again, Nintendo seemingly coming from last year where they didn't really have too much, now coming into 2022, and they're, again, when you say you can play Star Wars The Force Unleashed, which a lot of people revere as a classic, no matter how you feel about the story or whatever the case might be, it's going to get attention. Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection, honestly, the best Assassin's Creed that we have had to date. The best. If you want Assassin's Creed, I think that the Ezio Collection is probably going to be like, if you want true Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection is it.
That's true.
And the fact that it's on Switch, it can get a lot of attention to a lot more people. You got Front Mission, like you were saying, Pong. Tell people a little bit more about that. Got you excited, man.
Front Mission is classic, right? Front Mission, again, is one of those, look, like we just got done talking about, Nintendo doesn't listen to their fan base all the time. They clamor for things, and Nintendo still just ignores them, right? We've seen it with Metroid, especially, right? So my point being is, like, sometimes they surprise. And Front Mission was a franchise out of all their franchises, right, that they could bring back and remake. Never thought, right?
Right.
Now, even something like Advanced Wars. Advanced Wars is another game that I played when my kiddo had Game Boy, right?
Right.
Advanced Wars is amazing. Advanced Wars is awesome, right? So I was excited for that, but it's not something that was really going to grab me. I have franchises like Xenoblade that I've wanted to get into. Fire Emblem is another favorite of mine from the Game Boy days. I did play that as well, along with Final Fantasy Tactics. And we'll get into that in a second here. So, but Nintendo to bring back Front Mission again, not only just to commit to doing one remake, but to say number
both,
2 is on the way, bro, that shows me something, right? That shows me that they are out there looking at their classic IP and saying, okay, we can bring this back, we can bring this back, and this will work.
Yeah.
Like I said, a lot of people have never played Front Mission before. It's a niche title. Okay, there's no doubt about it, right? So when they announced this is like exciting. I also found out, Steel, that the Shadowrun trilogy, you know my love for Shadowrun, the Shadowrun trilogy that was done by the original makers on the PC is also coming to Switch now.
Really?
Yeah, brother.
That's going to be interesting.
Yes, it is. Oh my God, this stuff and Triangle Strategy, right?
Yeah.
From the makers of Octopath Traveler. Looking as again, the name's horrible. The name is like they gave up. Like they were going around trying to figure out what they were going to name it. And they just went, hey, let's just use the project name, Triangle Strategy. Let's just keep it.
Yeah,
right?
that's really weird.
So that sucks. But again, it's whatever. It is what it is. Looking utterly ridiculous. Chrono Cross. Now that's going multi-plat, which is also interesting to note. Chrono Cross is going to be on Xbox. Yo, okay. All right. You got my attention here, right? And again, I know it's not Nintendo first party. It's not. But at the end of the day, they are promoting it. But yet here we are. That and Kelowna is going multi-plat, right? So that is very cool stuff. Again, that goes back to what maybe we'll speak on a little bit here about the industry kind of being more open here, right? So some of that stuff speaks to me. But the big thing that came out of this was these announcements, Chrono Cross, and that kind of stuff is still, it lends more credence to the fact that NVIDIA leak was real. Those NVIDIA leaks were real. And if that's the case, that means that we're going to hear about Final Fantasy Tactics being remade. Let me tell you, Final Fantasy Tactics, and Mav is in the chat, and Final Fantasy Tactics, for a large majority of people that have played it, is considered the greatest tactics game ever done. Okay. And I would probably have to agree with that. Final Fantasy Tactics, if it's remade, if it's announced, Steel, and it's not multi-plat, let's say Switch only, I will get a Switch. Okay, for Final Fantasy Tactics and for all the other ones I just mentioned. Right, I'll be able to go back and play. Final Fantasy Tactics will get me back. If they are going to remake that game, I'm there. I will wind up hunting down a Switch. There's no doubt about it. Now, if it comes out, it's multi-plat. No, maybe I'll hold off still some more until something new comes out from Nintendo that's more up to speed with what I've been asking for, a more modern console.
Right.
But that one would bring me over. So that's how good it is, Steel. And there is no doubt about it. Like I said, Mav will attest to this as well. And you can ask people who have played it. It is considered one of the greatest all-time tactics games. And most people have it number one. What sets it apart is the strategy, the job classes that you can customize your characters with, second to none in the strategy involved in creating different classes, and the jobs expanded out to a point where it is so in depth. Absolutely love Final Fantasy Tactics. So that's the good news, is that the NVIDIA leaks look more and more real with all these announcements that Nintendo came out with during this direct. So fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. I'm praying. I would love to have a reason to buy a Switch, and that would give it to me. So that's my piece on it. Love this Nintendo Direct. Thought they did a great job. Like you said, Steel, they reached into their bag. Nintendo Directs are hit or miss. But this one, for whatever reason, hit all my notes, right? I was like, dang, they really are coming for me this time. Like, this is like, wow. When I thought about Shadowrun, when I heard about Front Mission, when I saw Xenoblade Chronicles 3, a series I've wanted to play for a long time, but just haven't had Nintendo. And then you throw in like a Fire Emblems, Musu, fighter, stuff like that. Mario Kart 8, I don't care about. But they threw enough in this Nintendo Direct. I was like, dang, I might have to start considering.
No Man's Sky on the Switch. Like,
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Nobody ever thought how, bro. I don't know what's going to play like.
I don't know.
Play
Either.
like terrible, but like you said, they just pulled a lot out of their bag. Sometimes Nintendo does this. Everybody gets hyped for Nintendo Directs. It's famous. Everybody gets hyped, and then everybody goes, God, why did I hype myself up for that Nintendo Direct? This time they delivered, man. They delivered for me at least. So I'm excited.
Definitely looks like it. Again, I'm playing some of these trailers in the background, just to kind of give you guys some aspect of what they had going on, or what games that they brought in. Again, you want to talk about people that know how to market their games and know how to sell their games. They're doing it, man, and it feels like 2022 is that year for them. I don't know how much more life that the Switch has in it, but again, if they're going to continue to have their devs work on it, you can't be mad about it because they're making it work. It obviously can't be that bad because it's working, and they're going to continue to sell. And I don't know, man. I don't know what Switch. I don't know what Nintendo's going to do as far as the future goes, but it's going to be exciting to see because they do have to step it up at some point. Can't rest on these laurels forever. Maybe they'll just become more so, again, known for their handhelds.
Yeah,
but maybe that's the direction to go.
Now, Front Mission is Square Enix, right? The Front Mission is Square Enix, but they're making it specifically for Switch. Nintendo is the one bringing this one back. They went to Square, I believe, on this one and brought those back specifically for the Switch. Front Mission has been elsewhere. Right. Again, they've got some that we just won't even speak about as far as Front Mission fans go, because they did there were some awful ones out there. But the first two Front Missions were Nintendo, and they are bringing it back on the Switch. And they announced all these other ones like Chrono Cross as multi-plat, but Front Mission is Switch only as of this point. So that's why I bring it up as a major player in all of this.
Right.
So.
Yeah, 100%. It's just interesting to see, man. I mean, I wasn't expecting for Nintendo to have the kind of year that it looks like they're about to have. And again, we don't know what's going to happen, man. There's just so much potential in what the future is going to end up holding for us. As far as like gamers go, I mean, there looks like there's people that are really trying to expand it out, get attention from those that maybe weren't interested in before. And they have a lot of different ways to do that. Again, we're in the age of accessibility. You don't think that these other people are going to consider that and, try to open it up to more people. Everybody wants more money to be invested, more things to pull them into their ecosystem. And again, we know that.
And let me clarify a little bit more on that Front Mission stuff, Steel, too. It's being published by Forever Entertainment, so outside of Square.
Oh, wow.
So Square must have published. Again, you're taking me way back. So Square published the PlayStation Front Missions at one point, because there was Front Missions on PlayStation. So somewhere in there, the IP must be owned by Nintendo, and I'll have to do some more research on this, but it's being published by Forever Entertainment and it's being developed by Megapixel Studio. So again, outside of the first two Front Missions, I don't know if that's where it gets murky. Right. And Nintendo doesn't have control or say outside of the first two. I don't know for a fact. I will have to do some more research on this because this is going way back. But yeah, so I just want to clarify that Forever Entertainment is the publisher and developer is Megapixel Studio on these two. So just for everybody's information there.
I'm not. We always say Nintendo knows how to work nostalgia. Yeah, there's this Disney Speedstorm game. They're definitely doing that. And it does have some good combat in it. I'm not gonna lie, it's interesting and it's over the top. I guess you can't go wrong with the formula. Like, if it works, it works. But yeah, man, it's definitely exciting to see that Nintendo has some amazing things to go on. We don't end up talking about Nintendo much, which is my main thing. So the fact that they're making some of these moves, even though the Force Unleashed looks really rough on the Switch, from what I can see, it's got the movement in there. You can use the Joy-Cons to do some of the moves and everything. So I guess that's unique.
Yeah, this is really weird, Steel. I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just reading the Wikipedia on Front Mission. Bro, this is really it's very interesting. Like I said, I'm gonna have to do some more research here, but really, look, Front Mission is a collection of video games and related media produced by Square, now Square Enix. The series was created by Toshiro Toshida and developed by G-Craft, a studio that was later absorbed by Square and existed within Square Enix as Product Development Division 6. Since the release of the original Front Mission in 1995, again, see, we're going way back, man. The series has gone to encompass several media, film, and manga, novels, radio dramas, mobile phone applications, and toys. While the series is primarily rooted in its turn-based tactical role-play genre, it has ventured into other genres such as side-scrolling shooter, real-time strategy, massive MMO, and third-person shooter through spin-offs. The Front Mission video games have achieved moderate success, selling over 3 million units worldwide since the release of Front Mission 5, Scars of the War. Bro, it's really strange how I wonder how this is all working out. But at the end of the day, it's a different publisher, brand new studio remaking them, and it is Switch only. I did look that up. It is Switch only. So I don't know how all this has worked. I don't know if Nintendo, got permission from Square, is licensing it from Square. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, Square does really seem to own all of it. It's very interesting. I might have to dig deeper.
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting for sure. But yeah, man, good to see Nintendo still. They're putting up a good fight, man. They're locking it up. So, from there, man, where do you want to take the people, man? There's only so much else that we can kind of dive into. Again, I've kind of been away from the scene, so the only other thing that I really have up on the board, other than I don't know. We got the Midnight Club that's seemingly going to be a game that could be in development by Take-Two. They're hinting at that. Also, the GTA 6 rumors, which I don't have much to say about it until they actually show us some content. I mean, you're not. The thing.
I want to hear.
The only
I
thing
want
that
to
I
hear
want
your thoughts here.
The only thing that I want to say, as far as GTA 6 goes?
No, as Activision Blizzard stuff.
Oh, on the Activision Blizzard stuff?
Yeah. You haven't had a chance to talk about it.
I mean, I feel like I've talked about it before, but okay, go set it up for me.
I'm talking about since all this happened this week, right? So you've been on the loop this week. You haven't been on any other shows. You haven't had a chance to really speak on what it means to you. Yeah, we've spoken about it here still because we saw the future, right? But we never specifically knew for sure that Call of Duty would be going multi-plat, right? And other possibilities, right, as well. So, from your aspect, Steel, when you hear about this, and again, everybody here in the chat and everybody listening to the future probably knows by now, because if you're listening to these shows, you're passionate about the industry, and you obviously would have heard that there was, a blog post that came out confirming again they are specifically talked about the regulators, right? That they wanted to get out in front of the regulator questions. And one of those questions was, will Call of Duty be on PlayStation? And they specifically responded and said that, yes, Call of Duty will exist on PlayStation for the current contracts and beyond into the future. And oh, by the way, we also are planning on trying to get it over to Nintendo for all the Nintendo fans, right? So they went up and beyond. And then Brad Smith, who is a Microsoft president, again, somebody we've never heard of. You got to remember who's saying these things. Last time was ZeniMax, even though people are trying to say a lot of this conversation is the same as what we had with ZeniMax. The difference is who was speaking the words about the ZeniMax deal. It was specifically within Xbox. It was Phil, right? It was Matt Booty. It was Todd. It was these people out in front. Now we're having these no-name Microsoft execs. Why? Because this is a bigger thing. This is about the regulators, right? This is about what is going to happen. Brad Smith revealed Microsoft, and quote, Microsoft will continue to make Call of Duty and other popular Activision Blizzard titles available on PlayStation through the term of any existing agreement with Activision. Mm-hmm. That commitment extends into the future too. Quote, and we have committed to Sony that we will also make them available on PlayStation beyond the existing agreement and into the future so that Sony fans can continue to enjoy the games they love, says Smith. Okay, that was from the Verge article by Tom Warren. Just pulling out the quotes there. Hey, Smith, and I'll add this too. If it wasn't clear enough, Smith revealed Microsoft's emerging game strategy in an interview with CNBC. Quote, great titles like Call of Duty from Activision Blizzard will continue to be available on the Sony PlayStation, explained Smith. We'd also like to bring it to Nintendo devices. We'd like to bring the other popular titles that Activision Blizzard has and ensure they continue to be available on PlayStation and that they become available on Nintendo. He then compares Microsoft's Minecraft acquisition, which was Satya Nadella's first big deal as CEO, to the upcoming Activision Blizzard deal. The acquisition, I think, is a clear indicator of what we hope to do if we acquire Activision Blizzard, says Smith. Invest in even more innovation, bring it to more people, bring it to more platforms, and make it even more useful and hopefully delightful for the people who use it. So, Steel, for me, this is a lock, stock quote. Okay. All of this is a lock, stock because they are talking to the regulators. For people who don't know, he went on to talk about they have to go through 17 different regulators in different countries to get this deal to go through.
Okay.
In the US specifically, okay, with the DOJ and the FTC, they can approve a deal. But 5 years from now, if they don't like how that deal's turned out, they can come back on it. People don't realize that. So for the people out there who are thinking Microsoft's just playing nice, they're just saying all the right things to get approval. And then once the deal's done, they're going to all of a sudden go back. That's not going to happen here because they can't, because the DOJ and FTC will be all over them instantaneously. Okay. I mean, they could, but they would be in serious trouble, right? And they could really force Microsoft to actually sell off portions of the business if they decided to go do that.
Right.
Okay. Or more. So, Steele, when you hear this stuff, where are you at, brother? What was your thoughts? Are you on? I mean, again, I know the general idea because you and I have talked about this constantly, that this is the future, that Microsoft is looking to expand to 2 to 3 billion people. It's going to be different. But when you look at this, Steele, and you hear this, like this is the first major step towards that future right here. Honestly, alongside, people have forgotten suddenly that Sony just paid $3.6 billion a week ago to keep Destiny multi-plat as well for their own reasons, right? So is this what we're looking at as the future? Is this what it's going to be like? Are we going to see more of these deals like this where they stay multi-plat? Are we seeing more Xbox stuff go multi-plat? Are you scared they're becoming a third-party publisher still? I mean, where are you at with this, brother? What's in your head?
I mean, we touched on it earlier, but now since we're refining it down a little bit more, I'm not scared for anything that they're going to end up doing. Honestly, Xbox has already made themselves multi-plat. They're on phones. They're available streaming. They're available on PC. They're available on your console. So the vision is already there. And it doesn't undermine the console space. It doesn't say, hey, well, there's no point for this or whatever else the case might be. Again, it's very narrow-minded to think that two IPs, whether it be Call of Duty or Destiny, are going to determine the future. These games can be multi-plat because it does not matter. Their exclusivity does not matter. Why change the player base? Why affect the player base? Why change anything when at the end of the day you can keep everything the same and you'll just end up in the long run making more money off of it that way? Instead of changing people's opinions and having people feel some certain type of way because you're gatekeeping it or whatever the case. And you'll still have your exclusives. You're still going to have games that are only going to be able to be played on a specific service or a specific platform, whatever you want to call it at this point. It's the same way that I look at any other digital service. I'm either going to invest it in or I'm not. And whether Microsoft turns into just a publishing company, doesn't do steps out of the console space or whatever the case, doesn't bother me. I don't care. That's not what I'm thinking about. Honestly, I would rather them do it than anybody else because I know that they would support their games, especially with the types of investments that they've made moving forward. But I think we're so far removed from that, again, like I've said here, this is the first time that Xbox has been ahead of the curve. It is on, well, I'm not going to say ahead of the curve and on top of the curve. Because previously, they tried to make this digital push in 2013 and people didn't like it. Then they tried to reiterate on that in 2017 and people were still like, I don't know. Yeah, now, I more so do it. And now we're in 2022 and digital gaming, digital content is bigger than it's ever been.
They're making the curve this time.
They're making the curve. They're creating the curve. Right. Again, it's been blatantly stated that Microsoft could not play the game the way that Nintendo and Sony were playing the game. The old archaic way of, here's a console, here's some games, you know who we are, buy our stuff. Doesn't work. It's never have worked like that. It has worked like that for Microsoft as far as Windows goes, as far as Office goes, but those are still services, not hardware. And Microsoft is not a hardware first company. They're not like you want to consider their competitors, whatever the case are, Nintendo and Sony. That's what they do. They've been doing it for decades. They're really good at it. So for me, it only makes sense that from all the ups and downs that they've seen since stepping into this gaming space, starting Xbox and everything else, coming off the heels of Sega with the Dreamcast and everything, it only makes sense to me that Microsoft would go right back into what service can we provide to the people that makes more sense for us than just selling hardware. And this is the avenue that they're taking. The cloud space, the streaming space, whether it's going to become a dongle for your TV that you just slide in to your USB port, whatever the case may be. Or if they continue to make hardware, because I think we're going to have hardware for at least another couple decades, at least. Because we're so far removed, we need everybody to get on similar download speeds and upload speeds and everything else. And even then, there's still going to be a separation there, because you want to talk about monopoly. There's other monopolies that we should seriously be talking about as far as internet, electricity, water, whatever the case, that is more of a serious conversation that can have an effect on our future than just the gaming. Gaming is just kind of like, again, because gaming is a hobby, it's an option. You don't have to have it. And gaming is very dependent right now on internet, especially in our day and era. And if the internet does not move forward, Microsoft is taking a huge gamble on saying that, we're streaming and all these other things are going to be so integral to what we do. The cloud is going to be so integral to what we do. None of that stuff matters if internet does not progress. If technology does not progress. So they're staking everything on that. This digital push is going to take over the world. Cloud gaming, going into the cloud and being able to compute things in the cloud so not as much has to be relying on the hardware. Sure, you can have a powerful console, but what does that matter if you can play games like Microsoft Flight Simulator, who are streaming terabytes of data in to your device to give you a realistic representation of weather, of the world, for example, I live in Florida, so we get those hurricanes that come in. I can jump into Flight Sim because of the data being streamed in the way that it is. I can go check out the hurricane in the middle of the ocean, be above it be above the clouds and everything, and see how it's forming and see what's going on with it. That is unique. And people downplay that like there's not a bigger potential there. The ability to do that should tell you where we could end up as far as these virtual spaces go, which is why I don't believe in VR the way that it stands right now. Because if everything continues to move forward, the cloud computing, quantum computing, like Pong has brought up several times, we're not that far away off. We're not. Once it gets down to 5 nanometer for our hardware and everything, especially for processors and everything, like, again, these consoles came into a point to where it was not necessarily on par with PC, but it was a little bit at least ahead of the curve as far as technology goes, as far as just giving you a console that's specifically for gaming, that has all the potential that it has. We're also not using everything that they designed these consoles for. So that's the other aspect that a lot of people forget about. We still got multi-platform games. The devs still don't understand the hardware. It takes at least 3 years for them to start making games designed specifically for these boxes. Kraken isn't getting put to full use. Velocity architecture isn't getting put to full use at all. Zero. So we're in a console space. We're in a space to where the console literally has at least a decade lifespan, unless quantum computing becomes readily available on your PC, because then it's going to separate it out again. The minimum spec on PC, once the minimum spec on PC changes from a 1060, where that's no longer acceptable, we will see things move forward. Because right now the play is to get more people involved. Why? Because we need more money to flood the market. We need more consumers to flood the market. We need more people who are invested so that we can then invest on moving everything forward. Because there's no point on selling 100 million PS5s if you have 200 million people who still have an Xbox 360, PS3s, PlayStation 4s, who don't want to upgrade because they don't see the point, or who aren't readily investing in your ecosystem. That is a problem that we still have today. People are still coming off a 360 and PlayStation 3. People don't want to come away from the PlayStation 4 because they don't see the point. People don't want to come away from the Xbox One because they don't see the point. We do, because we're gamers and we understand what, now y'all are understanding what 60 frames means, and what, why 4K isn't so important, why games like Dying Light, why it's unacceptable for them not to use, like Dealer has stated, not to use any upscaling techniques to make sure that they can get not only performance, but also visual fidelity, so that you can have the best quality game possible, because you as a consumer are not going to be able to tell the difference unless somebody tells you differently, like a Digital Foundry. You would never know that there's a difference between the PlayStation version of Dying Light and the Xbox version of Dying Light unless somebody told you. You can notice the frame difference, and you might say that, oh, that looks a little bit more fuzzy when I put it in performance mode. But other than that, you would never be like, oh, it's one's 1800p and the other one's 1600p. That's trash. Mind you, PlayStation doesn't even have 1440p support, quote unquote. Not saying that they can't get that, can't display that or whatever the case may be, because again, there's techniques for that. And I feel like that's what this play is more so about than anything else. It's not about your IP. It's not about, again, I'm going to say it over and over again. It's not about Call of Duty. It's not about Destiny. It's not about just Diablo. It's not about just Blizzard. It's not about, this PC space. It's everything. It's talent. It's how can we push this industry forward? How can we get more people to think about it and be involved? How can we open up more discussion? Because that's what's going to move the industry forward. And in order to do that, there is so much more work that has to be done on the ground level before we can move forward. And I feel like that's the whole point of this deal. So kind of like what you touched on, as far as Microsoft trying to play nice and everything else, I don't think they're just trying to play nice. I think they're doing what makes financial sense to them. Not only that, but what's also going to help them for the future. Who cares if it stays multi-plat? Whatever game. Xbox is already multi-plat. Like I said in the beginning, they're already playing on multiple. In the Xbox ecosystem, you have more ways to play, whether it's perfect or not. And that's a whole different discussion. Again, goes right back to my internet discussion, because that's all it's dependent on. You have more ways to play than you do anywhere else. On Switch, you can only play on the Switch. On PlayStation, you can only play on PlayStation and stream games to your PC. And now they're releasing games on PC. Xbox, you got phones, tablets, laptops, cloud, Game Pass PC. You have multiple different avenues to where you can play these things at. And exclusivity is still going to matter. You have to have something to sell your brand. But one side believes that opening it up to more people is going to be better for their ecosystem. So where the other side sees that, but still is holding on to their laurels as far as, well, more so not them particularly, the player base is holding on to their laurels as far as they're not used to this. This is new. People don't like change. And the biggest change with this is that archaic thinking that, oh, exclusives are the only reason why you get this console. I am not invested in PlayStation because they have not given me a reason to invest in their ecosystem. I go buy a PlayStation right now. Do I have a reason to? No. You got to give me something more than Miles Morales DLC. I can care less. It's going to come to PC some point, and even if it doesn't, I played it. I'm good. I played it on PlayStation 4. I can go get a PlayStation 4 and play it again. Yeah, I want the 60, but who cares? Horizon Forbidden West, it's still available on PlayStation 4. I don't care enough about the game. It's a single-player game. It's not a reason for me to invest. What's going to get me to invest, like I've said here before, is multiplayer games. What gets the typical consumer to invest is multiplayer games. Ease of access. Nobody wants to pay $60 to $70 for a game, especially for something that they consider a hobby. I also ride motorcycles. I am a gamer. I also build Gundams. There's other hobbies that are out there for people. You have to give people a reason to want to try it out other than, oh, it's COVID. Oh, it's a pandemic. Oh, I'm in the house, so I have no choice. Because we're coming away from that. Quickly. Coming away from that. So how are you going to keep people invested then? Yeah, we've seen the biggest boom in gaming that we've ever seen. And because of this whole last couple of years, going to be 3 years, before I think we're going to see any form of normal like we used to. And again, I don't think things are ever going to be the same as they were. But we're so far, if it wasn't for this, I don't think that gaming would be pushed as hard as it has been, to the point to where it seems like things are just coming back to back. Things are set up perfectly. 2022 was supposed to be a dead year. I think we're going to have more games this year than we've seen thus far. And I think it's only going to step up from there. 2023, 2024. It's going to get progressively more and more to where games are fighting for your time. That's not the game's fault. People's fault. And it is what it is. We don't have 100 hours every day to play games for 30 hours and then live the rest of it doing whatever the hell you want. We don't. This play more so for me personally just speaks to, again, that bigger picture. Pulling myself out of the world and saying, all right, well, what is we really trying to accomplish? Well, we want, as Phyllis stated, we want to reach 3 billion gamers. We want to give more people access. Whether we reach that 3 billion or not is not the point. It's not to say, oh, we're going to have a bunch of mobile games. No. But if we do get more mobile games because of this, mind you, now we have the dev team to do these things. Now we have plenty of talent to do whatever we want in whatever direction. And not only that, but because of simple games like Candy Crush, now we have funding to create whatever experience that you liked. Oh, we had 50 million people, 30 million people in their first month that tried out Forza Horizon 5. Guess what? I think we should play Horizon in the next Horizon Japan now. We see the push. Let's go ahead and put all our efforts into that. Let's give it some time. Let's give it a break. We got Motorsport coming. Now we can 100% dedicate ourselves to make sure that the Forza Horizon experience in Japan is going to be the greatest experience that you've ever had. Or you're going to get your mix between that Need for Speed Underground that you had back in the day and that Forza experience. The full customization, the drifting and everything. Now you can get that. Oh, God of War. Oh, now you can get those key God of War experiences, and they can start working on that earlier on because PlayStation is saying that they're getting that attention more so up front, which is why I am such a proponent of them sooner than later. People that keep like, oh, they're going to wait a year. They're going to wait. Oh, PlayStation can do this. No, they can't. Like, y'all have to stop saying that, oh, they can wait a couple years to sell games to other platforms. No, they cannot. It is not working. Jim Ryan has said it himself. He is the guy that has the vision for PlayStation moving forward. Unless he gets moved out. It is not working. The head of Sony's have said it is not working. We need to look at the service side of it so we can get more investments, because gaming is becoming more expensive than it's ever had. Jeff Grubb has said these things. There's so many other people that you can go and look to that have said similar things. Game is expensive. You want your $500 or $100 million experience? You need something that's going to give you $100 million in revenue on a year-to-year basis. No, it's not going to be a game that's supposed to be for you, but it is a game that could be for 2.5 billion other people. And that's the space that we're moving into. Again, one IP, two IPs, be a multi-platform, does not hurt anybody, does not devalue the console. Again, I would never tell somebody who is not interested in PC to buy PC. I'm not going to tell somebody can't tell me, yo, Steel, you should play those games on your phone. If I'm not a mobile gamer, if I'm not one of these guys, I'm not going to be one of those guys. Period. And nothing, no matter how great cloud can be, it's going to be more so a convenience factor for me. And the thought that, oh, everything is just going to be multi-plat now, one side is already doing it. Your TV and movies have been doing it. Music does it. You can get all the same music on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. They're all the same music, all in the same place. What's the difference? The service you're getting from that. The pay. How do you like the ecosystem that you have it set up? Are the playlists easy to find? Does it break down the music in it for you on a month-to-month basis? That's why I like YouTube Music now over Spotify, because it really tailors. I mean, sure, Spotify does it too, but I don't think it does it as well as YouTube Music does it, because it really tailors it and also opens it up more to where I could be listening to, let's just say I'm listening to The Weeknd, and then all of a sudden, boom, now I'm listening to Drake, and then boom, now I'm listening to Wayne, now I'm listening to whoever else the case may be. And then boom, they throw a random rock song in there. Hey, I like rock. That sounds like a good song. Boom, it's tailored to your experience depending on what you're looking at, depending on what you're talking about, depending on what you like to listen to. Do you like the playlist set up? Do you that's what it's more so dependent on. And just those three examples are successful. Tidal. All these things exist because they offer things in different ways. The same thing can happen in gaming. And it's not going to devalue any console. Now, as far as the conversation should, everything that's on Xbox isn't just going to magically be on PlayStation one day. That's never going to happen. Again, that's part of this play. You don't go from 5 studios to having 38 to having 38 possible studios, or whatever the case may be, whether that's confirmed or not, to send everything to your competitor. You don't. But at the same time, if you think of it from the aspect of, if you're charging people $10 to $15 a month, $20 a month, $30 a month, whatever that number may end up being, which I believe it's going to be at 15, more than 20, for a long time, versus somebody paying $70 for a game, which Sony has already 100% committed to, and other people have already 100% committed to. It's going to sell itself. And unless you as a competitor, Sony, Nintendo, whoever you are, Amazon, whoever you are able to offer a similar service that offers similar things, I think you're going to get pushed out of the ecosystem more so than anything else. Your hardware may become irrelevant. Why? Because you're forcing the consumer to make the choice of whether to spend $70 or spend $10 to $15. And the crazy thing is, no matter what, in Game Pass, using that as an example because it's working, you can still purchase the game. So if you're this guy that, oh, I like to buy my games, I want to support the dev, do it.
Options.
Do it.
Yep.
Oh, Game Pass doesn't give me enough. Okay, don't invest and spend $60 on every game that comes out that you might seem interested in. That's not going to work. They blatantly said it doesn't work. The old model does not work. Gaming is not niche anymore. You want games at 4K? Hey, 4K costs money. It costs hardware to make these things happen. Costs dev talent to make these things happen. Costs time to get those experiences that you want. Money drives those things. Consumers drive those things. Be capped out of 500 million people between PC and console is not acceptable. And obviously it's not funding the market enough. Not. Half of y'all don't stay. Again, I'm going to go right back. 90% of us who spend these money on games do not see Sony or Microsoft do not see the sale for the games the way they were doing it until 4 to 5 years later. That's too late. 4 to 5 years later, you're expecting a new game, aren't you? Or am I tripping? That's why Halo is 10 years. That's why Destiny is 10 years. Plus, they evolved the game over time. Destiny 2, when it released to Destiny 2 now, looks completely different. It's not the same game. Whether I support them pulling content or not, it's not. It looks completely different, feels better. 60 FPS has done wonders for Destiny. Man, it feels like it's a brand new game. It's going to be the same thing for any of these other titles. And if you want your key experience to continue existing, you want your, again, unless you want single player games to go to the wayside and completely go away, I would suggest that you look more into what the future holds and what these other services are going to be able to provide. Because if you don't, you're not going to have a single player experience anymore. You're going to have to be online. You're going to have to play with people. And you're going to have to deal with it. And I don't want that. People like playing single player games. I like to play my single player games. I want another Devil May Cry. I don't want Devil May Cry to have to be all of a sudden co-op all of a sudden. Oh, it has to be co-op. I have to play with somebody. No, I don't want that. I want to be able to enjoy it myself if I wanted to. But I have to look at the bigger picture and say, all right, well, how can we open this up? How can I continue to get support? How can they continue to iterate on this? How can we bring new talent in to where they stay longer than 5 years? Because that's crazy to me. The typical dev only stays in the gaming industry for about 5 years or less. That's scary to think about. Those key guys that you guys always, Todd Howard, for an example. What if Todd Howard was only in the industry for 5 years? He released his first key games and then said, all right, I had enough. We wouldn't be where we're at as far as the Western RPGs go in the mark that they've made today. Skyrim wouldn't have been as big as it is today. There's just so much more that goes into that conversation than just looking at it on surface level saying, oh, it's just because of this. And that's my kind of opinion on it. It's a big picture. It's a huge picture. And I don't want everybody to think that, oh, you have to see it my way. I mean, it leaves conversation. It's up to be deciphered in whichever way you want to decipher it. But I don't think that games going multi-platform are gonna hurt anything. I don't think that this whole playing nice thing is you're being anti-competitive. You're not being competitive at all. Like, oh, yeah, you are. Me telling somebody they can get games for $15 versus telling somebody that you have to pay $70 for a game, that's competitive. And then when it's going to change, what's going to happen? No, now you got another service. Oh, $15 per month for that too. Well, what does that service offer me? That's going to be, we're moving it from the console wars. The console wars don't exist anymore. We're moving into the service wars. If you really want to have that conversation, that's exactly what it is. And everything around you tells you that already. You saw that with Napster and LimeWire back in the day. You can get free music. Still competition.
It's still competition. You're right. Big picture Steel is that Microsoft is going to use this acquisition, number one. Number two, future acquisitions, because they are not done. That's why they're laying the foundation right now with the regulators for the future. There's going to be another, I believe, major, at least one more big publisher. Okay. Whether that's in the East or whether that's somewhere else.
It's going to be Amazon.
They're laying the groundwork for the regulators so that the next purchase is not questioned or not looked at as closely as this one's going to be. Microsoft has a reputation well earned from the 80s and 90s, and how they made Windows and Office the dominating force that they are by bullying tactics, by monopolizing. Okay. They paid for that severely. Now, whether right or wrong, that reputation continues forward with you because you are now over $2 trillion company and one of the richest, biggest, most powerful tech companies in the world. So you have to fight that at every turn. Now it's a whole new ball game for Microsoft. It's a whole new leadership crew. It's a whole new tactic. It's a whole new way of thinking. It's all of that. But at the end of the day, when you go before governments across the world, that Microsoft name still carries it. So therefore, they have to use a different way. So they're going to become the good guys in all of this. Right now, big tech is under scrutiny across the entire globe, especially here and in the EU. The EU is even tougher than it is here. But the political climate has changed so drastically that now you have to come with a different way of thinking. And so what Microsoft is doing here is they're laying the foundation so that their next big purchase, when they say, hey, we're going to buy, we're going to buy Sega, we're going to buy Capcom. Okay. That scrutiny, when they look at that, they already have it set with the Activision Blizzard deal. This is how we are doing business. We're not here to take away things from everybody. Yes, we're here to gain an advantage, but we're not here to take away big IP from the gaming industry, from people who play on Nintendo, people who play on PlayStation, people who play on PC or wherever. We're not here to take that away and just make that Xbox only. We're going to let those things survive. We're going to have the advantage because we're going to gain some exclusive IP out of this as well. But those big, well-known franchises, we're going to let them continue to live on elsewhere. Okay. And so that when the regulators see this big new deal come across the table, they're like, oh, we already know what Microsoft is about. Because Microsoft has been sitting at the table with us, talking to us about this new open future where ecosystems exist in harmony versus necessarily fighting against each other and hoarding things. That's what Microsoft's approach is. Because again, at the end of the day, keep this in mind, Microsoft's core business outside of Windows, outside of Office, outside of now Xbox is Azure. And that cloud server war is between them and Amazon right now and AWS. Okay. And the reason why is because Microsoft sees the future, Amazon sees the future where more and more tech, more and more content is up in the cloud. And who controls the cloud controls the world. Okay. So ultimately, this is still a major play for Microsoft domination. They haven't lost that. This is still big business. Business is about still at the end of the day, winning, quote unquote. It's still about that. But the bigger play is a culmination of everything they do underneath. And in order to get to that point where they win the cloud wars, let's put it that way, they want to use Xbox as a vehicle towards that. That means good things for us gamers, because that means heavy investment that we've seen now into Xbox and into the ecosystem. But they have to make sure along the way they don't get railroaded by the regulators, that they don't all of a sudden be seen as that evil corporation again, trying to kill off other corporations. That's not what they need right now. Okay. And that's not really the road that Satya plays anyways. Satya is going to welcome you in with a smile. Meanwhile, knowing full well that he's going to win the poker game at the end of the day, but he's going to do it in a nice fashion. He's not going to pull out a gun and lay it on the table and say, do or else. That's not how this is going to work. He's going to really welcome you in and just say, we're going to make everybody happy here. We're going to give everybody an advantage, but you're going to be underneath inside our kingdom, right? That's how this is working now. So they're laying the foundation for these future deals. They're also using this Activision Blizzard as being one of the people at the table with the regulators, setting the future engagement rules. And what that means is they are going to take a crowbar to all these closed ecosystems like Apple, and they're going to pry them open. Why? Well, number one, in order to reach 2 to 3 billion people, you're going to need a lot access to those ecosystems and to be able to have your own inside of those as well, so that you can reach all these new markets that you're currently kind of closed off to. So they're going to use this deal and sitting at the table with these regulators and saying, hey, look, we're on your side. We agree. There are way too many closed ecosystems out here. That's why we saw quotes this week as well to the app of Microsoft coming out and saying, we are open to a universal app system. We will open up our own ecosystem. We are going to do away with our current structure. We have plans in place to do away with our current store structure and the 30% cut and the limited payment options when you purchase from us. We're going to do away with that stuff. We have plans lined up. Right. We're forward thinking here, regulators. You're right. This whole, hey, if you buy from Apple, you can only buy what Apple wants you to buy out of the Apple store through the Apple Pay system. That's wrong. You're absolutely correct. That's exactly what they're doing. They are turning themselves in to those leaders of this new movement, of this transformation of not only just gaming, but entertainment, of apps, of all of it. They want the storefronts to be wide open. So guess what? Game Pass can drop in there with no issues. So that this competition that currently revolves around closing off systems and locking down people to one ecosystem, and that kind of rule set that's been out there now for a long time is broken apart, and we become open. Because guess what? When that happens, all of a sudden Apple has less ability, less reason to be resistant to the fact that, hey, if Microsoft wants to come along and create a metaverse, remember Satya said that himself, a metaverse where all of your entertainment content is accessible in one big giant happy world where you don't have to go to each ecosystem to access that. When they come along with that idea, and as that idea moves forward, as tech becomes bigger or tech catches up to that thought, and that they can go ahead and be the leaders in creating that beautiful kingdom, again, they will hold the key on the Azure servers. Apple will be less resistant to that. Google will be less resistant to that. Even Amazon may have to bend the knee and be less resistant to it, depending on how Amazon plays their cards. They want that ability to say, okay, now everybody's on board. Now we got all these open ecosystems. There's less rules for customers. when purchasing content. Now we can start really working on the big deal, making all this content scalable, making all this content accessible no matter where our customers, and they'll say our, even though they're controlling the key to the kingdom, our customers, because they're going to have the kingdom and everybody's going to have towns inside that kingdom. Our customers are where we want to make sure that if a person all of a sudden goes and is on a trip and is staying in a hotel, that when they fire up that TV, they have one access point on that TV to all the content that they own, gaming, movies, whatever the case may be. That's Microsoft's real goal, in my opinion. I'm reading between the lines. I'm reading the tea leaves, looking in the crystal ball about the things that have been coming out of Phil's mouth, coming out of Satya's mouth, now coming out of all these unknown Microsoft execs that are coming out now. I'm starting to read this, that this is the ultimate goal at the end of the day, because they're looking not 2 years from now, not 5 years from now, but 20 years from now. What is the world going to look like at that point? And we're headed towards an all digital world. Whether we like it or not, it's going that way. And make no mistake, the day that Nintendo, Sony, Xbox can just stream digital content to you, and the need for physical consoles, physical hardware is gone. Again, whether that's 20 years, whether that's 30 years from now, the day that that happens, it will be done, because they get rid of a cost. They get rid of a barrier to entry. And they will just all be third-party publishers at that point. And where will those games be published? In the cloud. Where will that cloud exist? On Azure servers, if Microsoft has any say in it. That's the ultimate play here. And Activision Blizzard is just the beginning of that. Again, they're going to use this deal to set themselves up for the future. Exclusives are not going away. We are going to get more exclusives because of this deal. Phil already told you he's going to go talk to the studios that have been handcuffed, chained to Call of Duty, and ask them what they want to do. Those games that come out of that, when they pull some of these studios off of there and they make these games, maybe go back into the back catalog of Activision Blizzard and say, hey, what do you guys want to bring forward? Those games are going to be exclusive to the ecosystem still. So we're going to gain more out of this as Xbox fans, if that's the way you want to look at it. We're still getting exclusive. We already know of 30 to 40 exclusives that are in the works. That number is going to increase because of the Activision Blizzard deal. If a StarCraft Ghost comes back into play, that is going to come to the Xbox ecosystem. And any of these other ones that are going multi-plat, like Steel eloquently described, still shows up in Game Pass day and date. Game Pass is still a gigantic value that no one is even close to matching as of yet. So that stuff is still an advantage to Xbox. So again, if you're on that Xbox side of things and you're wondering, God, why are they doing this? How does this help me? You have to step back and look at the total picture. Is going to help all of us as gamers. And if their vision, what I believe their vision is, again, nobody's going to know. We're at Speculation Town. We're just having an opinion here. But if their vision comes to reality and one day we do have this place where your only decisions are your TV, your sound setup, and what controller you want to use, and that's the only choices that you have to make, and there was no more thought about what console I have to go buy or if I have to own all three consoles, because I can access the ecosystem, I can access my content through one portal. That's a beautiful future for me. You may disagree. That's okay. You may be one of those people that loves to buy physical and you fear that future where the physical is no longer available. I understand that as well. I'm just laying it out too that eventually that stuff may all go away. But if we can have one portal I can pop into and I can buy from all these other publishers within that portal, and I can access all that through that portal, that's going to be a beautiful moment for me as a gamer. And I can't wait for it. So that's the real big play here. I think this is the beginning of what we're going to see. They are not done by any stretch of the imagination, but they are not going to let this deal get killed because they want to keep Call of Duty, or they want to keep Overwatch, or they want to keep Diablo exclusive. They're not going to kill a $70 billion deal. They are jumping ahead of any questions that the regulators have and setting the tone. You want to know what else? They're trying to get this to go through as quickly as possible. How great would it be is if by setting up all of this out front, as much consternation as this has caused some of the community, and I understand the messaging, everybody would like the messaging to be very clear, but they can't talk about this stuff right now in detail because they don't own Activision Blizzard. That's what they're trying to get to. So when this is done, I agree the messaging needs to be clear, and they need to set expectations going forward very clear, because this does kind of go against the grain of what they did with the ZeniMax deal, right? So far. But they do need to set up that messaging clear. But guess what? They really want this to go through fast. They said by June of next year. They don't want to wait until June of next year. No business. Nobody wants to wait to open their Christmas presents for a year and a half. They're trying to get this deal to as quickly as possible, even though it's going to be one of the most looked at deals in history because of its size and what it means. They want it to go through smoothly. They would love nothing more to see this deal close by the end of this year before holiday. How amazing would it be before Christmas, coming into the holiday season, Xbox, Phil gets to step out on stage and say, hey, all those Activision Blizzard games now available in Game Pass. How crazy is that going to be? And how good would that be for business come holiday? So that's another piece of this strategy here. But Steel, I'm excited for the future. I love this. I don't care about Call of Duty. I don't care about Diablo. I don't care about bragging rights. It's going to be in Game Pass day and date. I'm going to have access to all these games for my $15 a month. They're not planning on changing the pricing of Game Pass anytime soon either. Phil came out and addressed that as well, and said no. And deals like this, keeping things like Call of Duty multiplat. And let me remind everybody, if they go to a 2 to 3 year cycle on Call of Duty because they pull teams off of it and they no longer do that yearly release, Call of Duty is less valuable at that point. Warzone is going to be your money pig. It already is. But the Call of Duty mainline franchise, if it is not a yearly cycle, which I believe is probably in the works because I think Phil understands it needs that time off, it's not as important anymore as it once was, okay? Because they're looking at the big picture. But let me tell you something. When those games drop into Game Pass, that value shoots through the roof. And keeping them multi-plat, bringing in money from all those other places out there, is going to keep Game Pass even at this price point for even longer, because they don't have to recoup. They're on the long-term play, and they're not going to screw this momentum up by all of a sudden tomorrow showing up. They could, but they're not going to do it. Showing up tomorrow and saying, hey, by the way, Game Pass Ultimate is now $30 a month because we made all these purchases. That's not going to happen. They're not going to screw this momentum up. So the more they do of this, the better shot at we have Game Pass staying the same price for a very long time. And that is huge, huge value to all of us. So this is going to be an amazing time. This is a transformative time for the game industry as a whole. This stuff has all been sped up because of the pandemic, because of the chip shortage, because of everything that's happened. This consolidation, which we all saw coming, which we all been talking about, is happening a lot faster. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just going to seem like a lot right now, a lot of change. It's going to take a lot of stepping outside of our old ways of thinking, as Steele also talked about, that we've been in for decades with this industry, to really see big picture what's going on. And we're going to have to get used to this change. Not all of it's going to be pretty. Not all of it may make sense to you right now. But let me tell you, Microsoft and Xbox are in this for the long haul. They want to be the dominating force in this industry, in entertainment in general, as a de facto, because the gaming industry now is the biggest form of entertainment in the world. That's their plan. That means we have stability here. May not mean always what we think it does, but at the end of the day, we who are invested in the ecosystem are going to benefit from it at each and every turn. And that is amazing, folks. Enjoy it. This is a fun time.
Yeah. Let your live services push that ecosystem, and then everything else within your ecosystem, it can be exclusive all it wants to be. Why? Because you have time, you got the money, you got the effort to make sure that all those things can be done properly. Because what problem do we have right now is that games like, for an example, Dying Light 2, as good as the game is, comes out broken. Why? Because they're pushed for time. Because they're pushed for money. Because or whatever else the case may be. You want games to start coming out not broken? Give these people more time. Give these people more money. Give these people more talent. That's what you want, right? That's the number one thing that every gamer complains about. Oh, every game that comes out now is just broken. It just can't come out and just be good. Yeah, because there's deadlines. There's people behind those games. They have to answer to somebody. That's why games will come out the way that they have. It's not just, they should have delayed it. That's not the way life works. Sorry, it's not the way business works. I don't know. That's just a big picture for me. With that, I feel like we definitely knocked that one out for sure. Other than that, I mean, I don't have much else to really go over as far as that goes. All right. And I'm on the verge of murdering a cow. As hungry as I am at the moment.
Are you hangry right now? Is that what's going on behind the scenes? You're hangry?
Oh no, I don't know about all that. But
okay, all right. All right.
I do want to do our This Day in Gaming segment. I didn't record this stream today, so I'm gonna have to upload it on the back end or whenever that finishes fully processing. Usually with YouTube, it takes a day or so. So for our audio listeners, sorry that you guys are probably going to end up getting this a day later. But it is what it is. Life has gotten in the way. More things took credence. So, but it will get uploaded. I'll just have to end up doing more work on the back end. It is what it is. And no big deal. I'll just put more stress on my data cap, which is okay.
Yeah.
But no, it is what it is. I don't mind it either way. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you followed us up to this point, I want to say I greatly appreciate you and thank you. But as we do, just like we come in with the upcoming games, we had a lot of passion coming into the show. Then we got into the upcoming games, but then we also like to end the show with This Day in Gaming. One, because Pong says we like to make him feel old, but two, I like to reminisce on where we've kind of come from in gaming. Again, if you want to see the bigger picture, kind of what we've been speaking on the last couple hours here, I think the older games give you the best representation, right? Especially when you see where we have come from and then you see what you have now. And you're like, whoa, I just never would have anticipated that. And then also just to kind of reach back in those memory banks to give you some of those key memories, because I feel like those are important too. But with that being said, let's get into it. This Day in Gaming. So today we're going to start off with 1990, and it's going to start off with NES bringing out the Super Mario Brothers 3.
Ooh, classic, my favorite.
Again, Mario doesn't hold a candle to Sonic, but
no, but I like Mario. I like the raccoon. I like the raccoon.
It made it interesting. You can fly around a little bit. Then in 1999, PC released Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri. Interesting.
Oh, Sid Meier's done a lot of good games. I don't remember.
I don't remember that one.
No.
It's always going to go back to the old one. But 2002, PlayStation 2 released State of Emergency.
Oh, long lost gem, bro. That had so much hype when it was about to come out, and then it didn't hit right. That was one of those games. Like a lot of people were, because it had so many characters on the screen. It was chaos,
right?
All sorts of stuff. People were hype. Magazines were going nuts for it. And then it came out and it didn't live up to expectations, which happens frequently. I love State of Emergency. State of Emergency was awesome back in the day.
Nice.
That was a fun game. Yep.
Then in 2003, Game Boy Advance released Yu-Gi-Oh! Dungeon Dice Monsters. Didn't own a Game Boy Advance, so there's that. Then in 2007, PSP released Guruman, a monstrous adventure. And they also released The Warriors on PSP.
Oh, amazing game. The Warriors is so good. Oh, God. Classic.
And on the Wii, you got Wii Play.
Wii Play. Shocking. It has Wii in it. Did any game not have Wii in it? Jesus.
Yeah, I think damn near everything did. 2008, Xbox 360 released Dark Messiah of Might and Magic Elements.
So good. So good. People underrated. Performance was terrible on it, as a lot of games were back in 360 era. However, first person shooting version of Dark Messiah, Doom style, like awesome with magic and spells and staves. And oh, God, it was so good.
Nice.
So good. Sword and Shield. Yeah.
Nice. Then PlayStation 2 released Innocent Life, a futuristic Harvest Moon, special edition. Okay. Then Xbox 360 released Lost Odyssey.
One of the greatest JRPGs ever created. I will stand on that. It can go toe to toe with any Final Fantasy. Lost Odyssey deserves a sequel and more. Lost Odyssey is by far just a fantastic title that, unfortunately, again, because it was on 360 and people weren't buying. I mean, this is when Microsoft was trying. Xbox was trying very, 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 very hard to get into that market, but Lost Odyssey is absolutely fantastic. I recommend anybody go back. It is backwards compatible. If you love JRPGs, the old style JRPGs, go play it. Excellent story, off the charts, combat, character design, everything. Beautiful, beautiful game.
And then on PC in 2008, they released Penumbra, Black Plague. Not familiar. Then on PSP, they released Wipeout Pulse. Wipeout just hasn't been the same since back then.
I like Wipeout though, but yes, you're right. It's not the same. But
Wipeout
was the same. Classic. Yeah.
I love Wipeout. It's just not the same. Then in 2009, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 released Street Fighter. I believe that's 4 in Japan.
4. Yep.
Then PSP released Tenchu Shadow Assassins in Japan.
Yep. Tenchu's so amazing. So amazing.
Oh, excuse me. Then in 2009, PlayStation 3 released Flower.
Another one of those great chill indie games that PlayStation used to do all the time. Flower, you're just basically petals flowing in the wind. We'll collect more. It's really good though. It's amazing. Chill game.
Then in 2013, Xbox 360 released Aliens Colonial Marines.
So much hype. It was God. That poor game. Whatever. It was good.
Yeah.
If you like Aliens.
Yeah, for sure. Then in 2013, 3DS released Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. And then PlayStation 3 released The Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim Dragonborn. And then also Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's Decade Duels Plus. Elder Scrolls, sure. Yu-Gi-Oh! No. Then 2019, PlayStation 4 released Alva Avastia Chronicles. Interesting. Then PlayStation 4 and Xbox One released a game that no longer exists, Jump Force.
Why do you say that? I can still go buy it. It's still there.
Can you still buy it? I thought they pulled it off of all the services.
Did they pull it off? But do I see Jump Force 2? Maybe is that what I'm seeing?
Maybe not. I mean, I think they're maybe they're not getting rid of the game, but I do believe that they are killing the actual
killing their servers,
their service for it.
Okay.
I don't know if they're killing the game off the market and everything, but I know for sure that they are killing the service for it.
I did not.
Well, the online stuff for it.
The online, yeah.
Then in 2021, Nintendo Switch released Galgun Returns and Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. And that is your This Day in Gaming segment. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 44 of Living Splitscreen. In the books, nice and locked and loaded. With that being said, I guess I'll start off with my amazing outro. You can find me, Steel Rain. Still Rain the T's a 7 everywhere. Google, Facebook, Twitter, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, no matter what it is.
The universe.
The universe, exactly.
Steel is not locked to an ecosystem as an exclusive. Yeah.
No, 100%. I might not be actively playing in all those spaces, but you can definitely find me. I try to keep it as tight as possible because I've definitely It definitely would have, if I would have known, I definitely would have copyrighted my name earlier on. And so just so I can make sure I can get my name exactly how it should be in all places. But that's neither here or there. But other than that, you can find me here every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time with the Living Splitscreen. Guys, as we call ourselves, where we are a non-console centric platform. We cover everything going on with the gaming industry. We give you that live, raw, uncut passion and organic nature that I feel like only we can bring you. With that being said, Pong, lead the people to victory. Appreciate you being here, man. And other than that, what you got to tell the people, man?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Episode 44 in the books, Living Splitscreen's chat. You all were amazing. Some great conversations in there. Appreciate you all stopping out. Next week is 45. We're starting to catch up to my age. That's crazy. So we're getting there. But this has been another fantastic show. Steel, thank you, brother, for all you do in the background. As always, man, you know that. The show would not live without you, sir. So I appreciate you and love you, brother. You know that. Real life has been one big thing for a lot of us. So, but you still showing up here, man. I appreciate everything that you do. Otherwise, Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter, you know the drill there. Reach out to me and follow me, and I'll follow you back. Tonight, the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel. Please be there. We've got 2 guests coming on to join PTK Blam, Fuzzy, and myself. We're going to have both Mav and Kay Asante is going to be on as well tonight. So shout out to those 2. It's going to be a great show, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Otherwise, next Tuesday, Xbox Factor Podcast, Double Barrel Gaming. Mr. Boomstick is the man. You know that. Join us there, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Mav, Archimedes, Mr. Joanna Dark, myself, and if 3-Bit ever decides to show back up, his seat is waiting. But the Xbox Factor Podcast Tuesday, Thursday, PM in the PM, Pong and Mav in the PM. Normally a 2-man show, but we did have Colt Eastwood on a couple weeks ago, and then we had Mr. Boomstick on this week to discuss the Activision Blizzard stuff. So please join myself and Mav over on Fun Speculations channel, PM the PM, Thursday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time. The way the news is dropping, who knows what this week is going to bring. We might have some more craziness. So join us there. We're going to deep dive a few topics. Friday nights, back on Fun Speculations channel, Xbox Ultimate, the Great 8, depending on how many people can actually show up. Last night was a little bit smaller show, but we did have Fuzzy join us as a guest. That was a great time. That always happens at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time, Friday nights. And I'll be back here next week, episode 45. Look, people, there's a lot to discuss, big topics, everything going on. It is the golden age of gaming. So please enjoy this time, no matter what your thoughts, opinions are. Don't try to bring down other people's hyper excitement. If you have a different opinion, that's cool. If you want to talk about it and discuss, but discuss respectfully, as we always say around here. But please do enjoy it. Get out there, play the games. If anything, take a break from the social medias. Just play some games. Enjoy it. Play what you love what you play. I'll talk to you all real soon. Steel, get us out of here, man.
Much love, beautiful people. Y'all stay safe. Hopefully. Y'all have a fantastic rest of your day. And we'll holler at y'all next week on the next episode. Peace.
Love and respect, all.